Hey, 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 how are you all? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. Welcome to Scared of Beautiful. My name is Plez. I am here with you all. Let's see if we can help this lighting a little bit. But I'm here, y'all. Happy Sunday. I hope you all are having a great day. It's a pretty sunny day where I am. Hot as heck. So be safe if you go outside. Make sure you stay hydrated. But welcome to the grab bag. My name is Plez. If you are new here, please hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like the video, thumbs up the video, comment, give your thoughts on these shows that we're going to talk about today. And it was a lot. This past week, these shows gave a lot to discuss, a lot to unpack, and a lot to break down. Hey, you all. Queen Paradise says, hey, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you too, sis. DGF girl says, hey, girl, hey. Crystal, thank you for being here with me today. Good morning. Happy Sunday. High vibe. Hey, sis. Hey, Plez. Thank you all for joining me. DGL says it is 95 degrees in Detroit. Girl, that's kind of hot up there. Queen Paradise, thank you so much for that compliment. Hey. I try to look like sunshine and be sunshine, you know? Why be a dark, gloomy cloud when you can bring some light, you know? That's the way I look at it. Your favorite Virgo, you just finished watching Love and Marriage Huntsville. Well, girl, you are right on time because that is what we will be talking about in a little bit. All right, y'all. Pretty Brown Eyes says, oh shoot, I need to log off because I didn't watch Kanan yet. Well, I talk about Raising Kanan last, and I don't know what you didn't watch. They did not have an episode today. So I always talk about the week before. So this will be episode 5. I don't talk about the episode that premieres. Like I have it on Prime. So technically I can watch the new episodes at midnight. But I don't because I want to give people, the full day to watch. I don't like spoilers. I had to mute one of my Facebook friends this week, unfollow them because they left a spoiler about episode 5 and I had not watched it yet. I hate when people do that. Give people time to actually watch it. And she did it on a Sunday. So it wasn't like Wednesday or Thursday. Anyway, episode 6 actually will not come on until next week. So this week, there is no new Raising Kanan. I'm going to be talking about last week's episode. All right. So let's get into some things. You all know if you're here, like I said, thank you for joining me. Thank you for becoming a beauty or beau. Welcome to the community. I love my beauties and beaux. I'm so grateful for you all's continued support. If you're new here, please think about joining our community and subscribing to the channel. We have 2 basic rules. We encourage thoughtful discourse and conversation. We like to talk about the shows, everything that happens. We talk about those people, not each other. So make sure you keep your comments respectful. No derogatory or disparaging, comments are allowed. The second rule is when we go to have our call-ins, no place on my platform. That just means you have to show your face just like I do. So y'all, let's get into it. One thing I wanted to talk about, I'm going to go, of course, just briefly, because I wanted to talk about yesterday and what happened with our good, gorgeous sister, Sha'carri Richardson, right? When I took my break earlier in the summer, I missed everything that happened with her, meaning I missed discussing it with you all. I saw what was going on. I didn't like it. And so since yesterday happened, that gives me another chance to just talk about it. And that's what the grab bag is about. Sometimes I'll throw in little hot topics that interest me. So if you all didn't see it, if you're not a sports fan or a track fan, Sha'carri Richardson if you've been living under a rock and don't know who she is a runner. She's a track star. She went to LSU, Louisiana State University. She turned pro in track and field in June of 2019. She is a young 21 years old. She's a Black young lady from Texas, had a very hard background. Her mother actually died recently. She had to be told by the press that her mother passed away. And she's just had a really traumatic childhood, right? Really traumatic growing up. Her grandmother raised her. But she's a fighter. She is a survivor, and she has a talent that has brought her to the world, right? To the forefront. So everything that was going on in June or July was that, she beasted the United States Olympic trials, like left everybody in the dust in her events. And unfortunately, she was disqualified from the Olympic Games in representing the United States because she indulged in some marijuana use, right? She was dealing with the grief of her mother's death and decided to use some marijuana to help her in her grief. And unfortunately, that affected her drug tests for the Olympic Games, right? So she wasn't able to make it to represent the United States in the Olympics. And when this came out, it broke the internet, right? Everybody had something to say. And lots of people, especially in the Black community, in our own community, downed her. They, oh my God, why would she do that? She's ruining her own chances. She's making us look bad. Y'all, we got to get better at our responses. She's a young lady who comes from a very disadvantaged background. She really doesn't know coping skills. And if we're honest, most of us don't know coping skills. Lots of people who are full-grown adults, not just 21-year-olds, not just teenagers. I know people 50, 60, 70 who still turn to drugs and or alcohol when they are going through traumatic events. So she got caught up. She should not have done it. Let's be clear. However, the young lady took accountability. She said, I did what I did. I knew the consequences. I did it anyway. Y'all will see me next time. A lot of people seem to not like her braggadocious attitude, right? They say she's too cocky. She thinks too highly of herself. I don't think you can ever think too highly of yourself. However, I do think cockiness has its place. However, you always have to put things in context. This is a young lady who comes from the bottom, literally. She is scrapping, surviving, doing everything she can to make it out. And a lot of times that comes with no one's going to hold me down. No one's going to hold me back because people have been trying to hold her down, hold her back her whole life. Yesterday, she made her return, her first big event to the sport, the Nike Prefontaine Classic at the University of Oregon, right? She came in last place in the women's 100-meter dash. Most of the ladies who beat her were on the Jamaican Olympics team. This was her first run back. This is her second year being a pro. And afterwards, she gave an interview and let everybody know that she's not disappointed in herself. She's still the number 6 fastest woman ever. And she'll be back. I was kind of saddened that everything that I pretty much saw on social media were people downing her and basically saying, ha, 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 look at what happened. You're not as good as you think you are. And I just really want us to think about that. Think about how we talk to people when they have an outward failure. Excuse me for 1 minute. Sorry, needed some water. Yeah, we got to do better with supporting people when they're up and when they're down. I also really find it interesting that I see this phenomenon a lot when it's a Black woman. In sports, there are lots of cocky people. Tom Brady is cocky. Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace, was cocky. One of the reasons I actually didn't really care for him as a basketball player. Michael Jordan, the cockiest. And if we remember our history, none of them started out dominating their sports. Kobe lost a many of games in his first 2 to 4 years as an NBA player, right? He did not come in and be this wonderful high school phenomenon that everybody assumed he would be. Jordan as well. And yet it seems like no one downs men when they have these braggadocious attitudes, right? These big personas. Everything this young lady does is broken down and criticized, from what she wears. Excuse me, y'all. My allergies are cutting a fool right now. What she wears, how her hair looks, you know. How her nails look. So think about being 21 years old, being on a worldwide platform, and people waiting to pounce every time you make a mistake or a misstep. If you're not 21 already, we've all been 21 before. Think about if your life was magnified to the level that hers is. How would you cope or respond with that? You know? So I just want us to be more cognizant and more thoughtful about how we respond to people, even if it's these big public figures that we don't really know. She's a young girl, so I'm sure she consumes social media. I hope her close team of advisors are really talking to her and working with her on these things. But she's young. She has lots of room for growth and improvement. And I personally am here as a supporter. I want to cheer her on. This is not the first race, won't be the last race, and the sky's the limit for her. I just want us as a people to learn how to be more compassionate, more graceful, and less critical. Ready to pounce as soon as someone, shows any type of weakness, right? And she wasn't weak. There just were people that were better than her. And that's really what happens. I don't know what is going on, y'all. I really apologize. I took my Zyrtec today. Anyway, that's pretty much what I have to say on that. Let's see what you all are saying. Thank you so much to be Black Native. Hey, lovely lady, I only saw 3 episodes of Raising Kanan. I must catch up. Enjoy. I'll pop back later on, maybe. Thank you so much for the super chat. Please come back. And yeah, catch up. I love Raising Kanan. It's a great show. Pretty Brown Eyes, excuse me, says she needs a PR team. She absolutely does. DGL says Sha'carri is still healing, albeit with bravada. Enlightened Hugh says, a lot of us are emotionally immature. Crystal says, we should have educated her, supported her, loved her during her rough time. High Vibe says, oh, I didn't know she came in last. Yes, she came in last. Nola K says, I know there are rules and she should have followed them, but I don't down marijuana disqualifying someone from the Olympics. Well, the thing about that is rules are rules, and the Olympic rules are international rules. So there probably needs to be some advocacy around the subject. However, these are international rules. So although the United States has opened up more to marijuana and is legalizing it in lots of places, it doesn't mean that other countries are going to be open to that. So when we involve ourselves in really big things that are bigger than us, there are rules and regulations that are bigger than us, right? So when this was initially going on, a lot of people were arguing, well, she was in the state where it was legalized and blah, blah, blah. None of that matters. We are not the Olympic Committee, and we don't set those rules. She admitted that she knew the rules and violated them. So she took her accountability, and that's what the most that we can ask of people. Again, I was very proud of her as a young woman to take the accountability. She didn't make excuses. She didn't lie. She gave her reasons for doing what she did. However, she made the mistake. And that's what your 20s are for. Actually, that's what life is for. As long as you live, you're going to make some mistakes. But definitely in your 20s and having to navigate something, y'all, if my mother left here tomorrow, I can't tell you what I would do. I could tell you what I would hope I would do. I would hope not to turn to any illicit drugs or alcohol or anything to drown my grief, but I can't tell you that what I would do. I cannot imagine that pain, and I sympathize and empathize for anyone who's going through that pain or has had to go through it, y'all. So I'm sure that there are lots of people who will say, I wouldn't do that, but you really don't know. Until you're in that position, you don't know. I don't like how Adrian says, I don't like how people are so glad that she failed. We don't give each other grace. Exactly. It's like people were watching and hoping that she didn't win. Probably what's even worse is people were watching and supporting her, but then as soon as she didn't win, they flipped. Y'all, we got to do better. Is your fave still your fave when they don't come in first? If you really support someone, you support them good or bad. In sports, I side eye fair weather fans. When I watched the NFL, I haven't watched the NFL in a few years. When I watched, I was a Dallas Cowboy diehard fan, have been since I was a little girl. I love basketball. I'm a Miami Heat fan still. Was one before LeBron came, will continue to be one now that he's been long gone. Although I do find that basketball is more of a player sport than a team sport, so people will be loyal to a player and not a team. I understand that. But you got to be loyal to something. If you jump off the bandwagon as soon as the person isn't in the number 1 or number 2 slot anymore, to me, that says a lot about your character. A lot. Auntie Eva says they criticize FloJo too, always targeting Black women. She is young. She has a lot to learn and believe that she will. A lot of so-called celebs were vocal against her as well. Absolutely. And I don't understand that. They all know that you to make it in those types of worlds, a lot of times, you have to kind of have a I know who I am, who gonna check me, boo type of attitude. Because if not, people will eat you alive. I personally choose more of a humble, I guess, attitude. However, I do know that there are times when you have to boss up and let people know who you are, because sometimes humility and meekness can be taken for weakness. So in this world, it's a lot of damned if you do, damned if you don't, you know? I just want our people to respond better when things like this happen. We have so much spotlight anxiety in this world, and spotlight anxiety is when you're a minority and you feel that every minority out there in your same racial or ethnic category represents you. And of course, that leads to like respectability politics and all of those types of things, right? So you think Sha'carri's hair and her nails and her bop, you know, reflects poorly on you as a Black woman. And that's not true. Quit letting people feed you that lie. Every person is allowed to be their individual selves. And if you don't want to be that type of individual, don't be it. Don't wear your hair like that. Don't wear your nails that long. Carry yourself and dress yourself in the manner that you want to be received and perceived as. But you do not have the right to impose those beliefs on others. We got to learn how to live and let live. Now, if someone asks for your opinion, that's different. And of course, this is the world, so you are also entitled to give your opinion. I just think there's a time and place to give your opinion in a manner in which to give your opinion that does not desecrate a person. And what I saw yesterday, particularly from my brothers and sisters, was a lot of desecration, a lot of cutting down. And I just want us to try to think about these things and do better, right? Let's see. High Vibe says, okay, I didn't see it, so I'm in the dark on what happened. Jamaicans have been beating the U.S. since like the 1996 Olympics. Angela Gardner says, when a favorite sports team loses or when a favorite player doesn't always perform each game, they still root and support them. Absolutely. Britt Cummings says, I'm always late to the live. Hello, Plez. Hello, Britt. Doesn't matter that you're late. We haven't really gotten into things. We are over here talking about Sha'carri, honey. Talking about Sha'carri. Zelene says, Sha'carri does need the grooming of a team. She may be grieving her mom and the fact that she could not compete. Yeah. And all of these things will begin to affect your mentality, which will then also begin to affect your performance. You know, people who try to lie and say, oh, you know, this was the same thing that happened with not Gabrielle. This is the same thing that happened with, is it Gabrielle? The young lady in the gymnastics section, right? It's the same thing that happened with her. Her mental, she did not feel one with her body. And that was affecting her performance. She does such complicated vaults and floor performances and her flips and her everything is so complicated that not being in alignment with her mind and body would have been detrimental to her. And for people to look at that as some type of weakness, no, I'm so proud of this young generation. I am so proud that they are, thank y'all, Simone Biles. Why I'm trying to call her Gabrielle, because that was the other one. Thank you. Simone Biles. This young generation is saying, screw you, screw your money, screw your jobs, screw those medals. At the end of the day, what is that medal going to do for me when I already have 20 or 30 of them? Like, come on, man. We have to do better. We have to do better, and we have to support our young people and give them safe spaces to come out in. The days are gone where we slave away and kill our bodies, our minds. And I'm talking to y'all too. I'm talking to us, the professionals, the middle class, the whatever you are, working class. If you are on some hard times right now and you're more of the lower income class, whatever you are, do not let these people drive you crazy. Do not let them run you in the ground, because I can guarantee you will have a heart attack from the stress of it all, and they will call the ambulance and roll you on out of there and send your family some condolences. They might send some flowers. They may send a little coin if they feel generous, and your replacement will be there next week. Same thing with these athletic games. If Simone had competed and broken her leg, her ankle, ended her career, God forbid something even worse, there was a replacement ready to come off the bench. So, as I always tell you all, choose you. Choose you. Life, people like to tell you life is too short. It can be, but most times life is long. 60, 70 plus years if we're lucky, if we are blessed, excuse me. That's a long time to live for other people and their opinions and their goals and all of the things that they want for you. So, have your goals, push yourself, but make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, for what's important to you. And know that if you fail, if you make a mistake, if you go down the wrong road, you can and will come back, right? So I hope Sha'carri has a good network of people around her. I hope she takes the time to go back, work on some things in training, and to come back to the next race ready to go. She has to do her, and I just hope that we support her, y'all. I hope that we should support her. However, the same applies to regular folks. Your job will replace you. Yes. Queen Paradise, correct. Choose you. Yes, I know that's right. Latoya Tacker. Hey, Latoya. Says, hey, Plez, I finally caught a live. Thank you for being here. So, all right, y'all. Those are my little thoughts on Sha'carri. I did not mean to be talking that long, but the spirit hit me. So, and my allergies. Jeez Louise. So I apologize for that, but let's get into it. Let's get into Love and Marriage Huntsville. For some reason, they call this episode Martell Signs. I don't know. Martell wasn't even really in the episode that much, but it is what it is. He did show up because the last few episodes, we didn't even have to deal with Martell and his shenanigans, but he was back on the scene later in this episode. The episode opens up with them continuing the Taco Tuesday, the ladies' night or day, I should say, at Melody's new home. And we see that Destiny, Melody, and Letitia are still in the middle of their argument. And Tiffany, I should say. Tiffany is going on and on and on, saying that she just, she didn't bring any tea. Destiny is like, yeah, you brought some stale tea to my birthday brunch and I didn't appreciate it. It was stale. It was old. It didn't bring anything that was needed to be brought to the table. So I don't see why you brought it up. Tiffany, breaks into this whole, oh, I didn't do anything on purpose. I was just doing it to jog your memory. Melody is really tearing her butt with me this episode, y'all. She's tearing her pants. I have been a Melody Hope fan for the whole shebang since I've been watching this show since the beginning. But this season, we've talked about it before. I guess, since she's no longer married, she's feeling the pressure to stay on the show and really bring something to the table. So it's coming off as a lot of manufactured beef. It's coming off as a lot of orchestrated things on her behalf. And what I don't like, aside from a bone carrier, is someone who throws a rock and hides their hand. And that's what I feel like Melody is doing in this situation. Her and Tiffany are very much a, what? Why is she mad? What happened? I don't understand. Girl, it is not hard to understand why Destiny would feel like you brought this chick here to bring me some nonsense on purpose. And I'm not saying that's what Melody did. I'm just saying that's what it looks like. And as a friend, I should be able to tell you how something made me feel and what it looked like. And then you should correct that perception and defend yourself. But to be aggressive and dismissive from the beginning, she's all in her feelings because Destiny didn't tell her about her divorce. But I don't know if I would have told Melody either. She does not seem to be a great supportive friend. In her previous friendships with Tisha, Tisha irritates me anyway. However, I didn't think that Melody was outright being malicious with Tisha. Now, it's making me double think that perception that I had of her. Destiny lets it go. And then Tiffany gives this, the number one non-apology that there is. Y'all, if you have to apologize to someone, please try to refrain from saying, if I said anything. You clearly said something that hurt her. Whether that was your intention to or not, you said it. And it hurt her. So just say, I apologize that me bringing up that situation offended or hurt you. That's it. That's it. That's all. See how simple that is? Not if I said anything. No, you said it. You said it. And honestly, now you're trying to crawfish and double back and say, oh, well, I didn't mean to. But in your confessional in the previous episode, you were very much it's her birthday and I'll let her cry if I want to. You were very smug. You were very dismissive. So while you are now taking this quiet, demure, I don't know. Oh no, that's absurd. That's just stupid. I would never. I don't bring tea. I'm normally served tea. I don't bring anything to the table. We know. You don't. At all. We don't like you. We don't want you. Carlos King and crew can take you wherever they got you from. Then she plays the victim and says, I'm over it, but if Destiny wants to hold a grudge, you are no victim, ma'am. You started all the crap. Started all of it. Next, y'all, they start playing this game that Melody has. And if Melody got that game manufactured, I really like it. I think it'll be a good game and another source of stream of income for her. The girl is smart. So the game was basically like a never have I ever, but it actually put it into cards. That is something that, one, if y'all know me, if y'all have follow me on Instagram and see my Sing Along Sunday, I love a game night. I live for a good game night. So I love board games, card games, whatever it is. If Melody does this right and has this manufactured, this could be big. This could be like the whole, black card revoked. It could be a good phenomenon for her and a good moneymaker for her. But she basically put never have I ever into a card game form. And your options on your cards are I never have, I would never, and or that you're guilty. So the questions, of course, are meant to be provocative and get in the middle of everybody's business. The first question, which was clearly a dig at Kimmy, was if you've ever been a side chick. And so one thing that I've said before, y'all, about playing these types of games, I don't like playing it with certain groups of people because people aren't really going to be honest. They play it to get into everybody else's business, but won't share any of their own. And I honestly think that's what Melody and Tisha, particularly, I don't think they were being absolutely honest because allegedly Melody was a side chick to Martell. Now, she has said that that wasn't true, but the people say when they went to college, Martell was in a serious committed relationship with another person and then got with Mel. So when they asked the question, Melody, Kimmy, Tisha, all of them say they have never been a side chick. Didn't say that they would never. No, I think somebody said they would never. However, Destiny says she never has had and that she was guilty. So it's like, girl, how? So she explains that she was unknowingly a side chick. She was dating a guy and didn't know he had someone. You know, that happens as well. Let's see. Your favorite Virgo says, I could possibly give Tiffany a pass if that was the only tea she spilled at the brunch. But the fact that she also tried to gossip about Monster lets me know she's just messy. Messy, messy, messy. Francois says, did you see Tisha's face when Melody asked Kimmy if she was ever a side chick? Tisha's face said it all. Yes, she was being very passive aggressive with that one. Simone Wealthy says, although I'm not a Tish fan, she was right about Mel. She is a mean girl. You know, she's doing a lot. Tisha is messy for giving Kimmy that side eye for the side chick response. They were all being super messy. The next question was about oral sex. They want to know how often they give their men the services. Kimmy answers and says, you know, once or twice a week, once every 2 weeks or so. They all, for some reason, are surprised by that answer because Kimmy has taken them to sex shops in the past, and Kimmy is a very highly sexual person. And I think people don't really understand the dynamics of like an actual adult relationship. You know, I think, you know, once a week or so, I think, good job, Kimmy, good job. I'm sure Maurice want more, but Maurice is hardly there. Maurice is always working. If you don't know how to balance your life, to me, that means you don't deserve constant whatever. That's just my opinion on that. Melody says that towards the end of her marriage, she was doing it almost every day. Melody, we don't believe you. We don't believe you. I don't believe that man was cheating on you and you knew he had been cheating on you for years. And in an effort to try to make it work, you started doing it every day once it was brought to your attention that they wanted that more. I don't believe you. I think you were lying. Melody goes on to say that if it was just about oral, then they still wouldn't be married because they had other issues. They also have a threesome question. Would they ever do a threesome? Most of the ladies said that they would never. Kimmy says she never has done it. Doesn't say she never would. In fact, she talks about Maurice and her have discussed this matter, but Maurice didn't want to talk about it anymore because Kimmy suggested another man. This is why Kimmy is my girl. I love Kimmy. Whenever that topic comes up, that is my response as well. Of course. This dude over here, I'm really feeling him for a long time. That's the way to get men to shut that down real quick. However, Kimmy also says that if you call Maurice right now and asked him who would be the person, he could give you the answer. And so again, Tisha's in her messy moment and says, "Oh, Destiny, is it you?" And for some reason, Destiny thinks it could or should actually be her, because she says that they had been out somewhere and Kimmy was rubbing all on her leg. And Kimmy was like, "Girl, I rub on everybody. I'm a touchy-feely person. I rubbed on Martell. Don't you remember?" And she was like, "Oh, yeah, girl, I do remember." Again, I like Kimmy because it just seems like we are kindred spirits. I'm a very touchy-feely person. I have learned to get that under wraps over the years, because people really do take that the wrong way. When you are a naturally affectionate person, or a person who that physical touch is your love language, people really do take that completely the wrong way. And I can understand how it sends the wrong message sometimes, but it kind of sucks if that's your natural personality and your natural love language. People read way too much into it when it's not really like that. You do it to everybody, so that means you're not special. Sorry, Destiny. But of course, Tisha has to jump in and let Kimmy know, "Look, you better not touch on Marceau." And Kimmy's like, "Oh, okay, girl, he's safe." Y'all, Tisha is so delusional. It's sad. No one wants Marceau but you. And I don't even know if you want him half the time. You do, because you be around here crying and whining. I want you to boss up and go out and actually have you a hot girl summer in your supposed hot girl car if you ever get it, because that man allegedly has been over, beyond, and by in the Huntsville, Alabama, and I'm sure elsewhere, other places. Tisha, she's such an easy target, y'all. I almost stopped making fun of her, but she does it to herself. We're having a normal girls' night of fun conversation, and you jump in to assert a boundary where there does not need to be one. No, Kimmy is not rubbing up on Marceau. One, he's her brother-in-law. Why would she do that? Like, you just wanted to get some camera time and talk, girl, because no one wants Marceau. Sheila Mac, I like your hair, Plez. Thank you so much. It'll be back in braids before you know it. Autumn R says Tisha is very insecure, beyond insecure. Denise Pooh says she knows she can't afford that car. That's why I'm like, you want a convertible and a work truck? And then this is one thing that always interests me about people in these luxury vehicles. We'll get to that in a quick second. When she's going up the hill in her Mercedes SUV and it can't even handle a hilly, landscape. What's the point of getting a Jeep or SUV if you can't? Those don't come in all-wheel drive. I don't know, child. I beat the shit says Tisha is so cringeworthy. I hope she gets some help. Quasia says making fun and truth is two different things. I agree. Francois says Tisha always trying to make us feel like that we want her man. I'm gay and don't find Marceau handsome at all. I mean, he's okay. None of the people on this show are flat out ugly, But if I was going to rub on somebody, it wouldn't be Marceau. Of the men on that show, wouldn't be Marceau at all. Matter of fact, it might not be anybody. Because Cedric is goofy. Martell, he's in love with his reflection in the mirror. Maybe Maurice. Nah. Definitely not Lewis. I don't know. Not Uncle Mike. I don't know, y'all. But it wouldn't be Marceau. But they're not bad looking people at all. I just, Francois says none of the men on this show are handsome. Oh, I don't think, again, I think that they're okay. Mackenzie says Tisha's ponytail upset me and my homegirl. ma'am. Now, I try to stay away from people's hair and looks and stuff, but yeah, that ponytail was struggle city. All right, y'all. Next, Mel starts talking about boundaries. She's like, this is something that I've really learned over this last year. Destiny jumps in to agree and say, oh yeah, boundaries are absolutely necessary. And Mel checks her hard. Like, I'm still talking. Don't interrupt me. This was a classic just argument that should not have been an argument. But because there were underlying tensions already, something really small got blown out of proportion. Yes, it is rude when you're talking and someone kind of jumps in, but it's also a girls' night. And I think Destiny felt like, hey, I'm agreeing with you, I'm affirming you. That reminded me of something that happened to me. And Mel, because she's already mad and irritated at Destiny, is like, hard stop. So it was the tone. It's not always what you say, it's how you say it. And Mel was straight like, I'm not talking to you. Shut up. I'm talking right now. I have the floor. You're being rude. And then it just got very tit for tat. It got very, very, I was looking at my screen like this. This is beyond childish, y'all. Childish, rude. It didn't take all of that on either side. Both of them were absolutely wrong. However, I can see where Destiny was kind of blindsided. Like, girl, I'm agreeing with you because that is their normal relationship. That's their normal banter. And she thought that they were back to their normal relationship, except that if once she finished talking or stopped talking and let Mel finish, she learns that Mel is pissed because Destiny took a month after the divorce to tell Mel about the divorce. I mean, to tell her about the divorce. And so Destiny's like, okay, so now my divorce is about you. And Mel says, no, it's not that. It's just, and I guess production cut out whatever she said as a response. But again, y'all, Mel is really making me look at her sideways because I don't understand grown-ups and friends like this. Your friends, no matter how close of a friend you are, they're not obligated to tell you all of their business. And when they do choose to open up and share, that is their right. You share when you're ready to share. Everybody, you can't, you know what I'm saying? Y'all are grown. Why does she have to tell? Was she supposed to file for divorce and call you that same day? Or call you the next day? I'd be even interested to know when exactly did Mel call everybody and report that she filed for divorce to Martell? Like, I try not to be petty Betty and go back and forth with friends, but girl, if we're going to hold a measuring stick, we're going to hold a measuring stick to you as well. It was just beyond. Checking You Boo says Melody and Martell hurted each other and was doing shady and questionable things. Sheila Max says grown folks. Fleeta Clayton says I totally agree. KD says she never did. That's the point. DGF says you who can't hear what you said even when you agree. Folk high on that narcissism spectrum. You out here giving knowledge, sis. That is a true fact. Destiny just is like, I'm over it. She gets up, she leaves, she thanks everybody for the night, but she's gonna head on out. And I applaud her for doing that before it got too out of hand. Checking You Boo says Melody is mad that the world knows about her flaws and that her husband had an obsession with the mistress. Melody wants the other people to have cheating husbands so she can feel she is not alone. They say misery loves company, sis. Jax H. Hey, Plez, live from London. Hey, hello. Thank you for joining me from London. Keaton, hey Keaton, says in the YouTube neighborhood, wanting to drop in to hit that like button, looking good. Thank you, sir. You look good as always, and thank you for joining in and supporting and hitting the like button. Y'all, please hit that like button. Thank you so much for the support. It is free. All right, y'all. Next, we see Tisha and Marceau out at Scott Manor. At the site, they are mad because only half of a driveway is up. I already said her in this Mercedes SUV. I couldn't tell if that was the G-Wagon model or not because I'm not really a Mercedes person. But it was just funny to me how she was struggling to get up that hill. I'm like, you got a whole SUV and it can't make it up the hill? You in the wrong car, ma'am. You need to go get a Jeep or something, or whatever work truck you claim you want Marceau to buy you. I also did not realize, as many times as I've seen them at Scott Manor, I didn't realize they were trying to develop completely undeveloped land. I mean, they are contractors or they're in the business. Marceau is in the business. Martell, Melody are in the business. I think she should know by now how long it takes to develop completely undeveloped land. Like they are in the forest, basically. That's not going to happen overnight. Now, I can't say that Uncle Mike and his people aren't dragging their feet. However, I also think they may be having some unrealistic expectations. Anyway, they're not happy with the progress with the house, with Scott Manor. They say only half a driveway is up. This makes them question mixing family with business. They seem to be very smart people, very knowledgeable people. They should know that by now. Mixing family with business very rarely works. And I mean like extended family. If it's a mom, a dad, and then the children are working for the mom and dad, that's a little different, but even your kids will try you. They think they don't have to show up. They can call in when they want to. But when you get to say, oh, my uncle's an architect, so I'm going to bring my uncle in. And honey, I learned this lesson as a little girl, y'all. My mom, my hairdresser, I love her. Hey, girl, if you watch this, my hairdresser growing up was a cousin of mine. Y'all, she was a fool with them Marcel irons. If y'all were black girls in the 90s, black women in the 80s and 90s, you know what a Marcel iron is. It will put any flat iron today to shame. She was a fool with the Marcel irons. Baby, my mama would drop me off to get my my perm or my retouch or washing my washing flat iron or whatever it was that day. My cousin said, oh, just leave her here and you don't even have to pay. That's my little cousin. I'm gonna do her hair. My mama didn't ask for that. She offered. And what she would do was put other heads in front of me and then go back and say, well, you ain't, when my mama would come at 5 p.m. and she left me there at like 9 a.m. and I'm still not finished, my cousin would be like, well, you ain't paying no way. And I'm just a little girl in the middle of them fighting and fussing. I learned then, don't do it. Reconsider, read some literature on the subject. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah, don't do it. It's an easy way to get disinvited to the Thanksgiving dinner, or to end up throwing some rolls at the Thanksgiving dinner. So don't do it. Don't do it. You know, don't do it. So yeah, it seems like they may have to fire Uncle Mike. But honestly, Uncle Mike should not have been hired in the first place. All right. Then Tisha starts telling Marceau about her conversation with Mel at Mel's house, where Tisha was again saying that these girls in Houston don't care. They'll approach married men, alluding to Kyra. We've already talked about that, girl. Kyra didn't want Marceau. No one wants Marceau. So anyway, Tisha says that Melody tells her, Oh, girl, well, I wasn't going to say anything, but since you brought it up, someone came in my DMs and said your friend's man was hugged up with some girl all in Houston and they had pictures and videos. Now, Tisha is beyond gullible. Living the moment, thank you so much for the super chat. Says never mix business with family or friends. I absolutely agree. 100%. Tisha is so gullible, y'all. After all of the issues you've had with Melody in these last 3 or 4 years, why would you listen to anything she has to say about your husband? We would not even be having conversations about my husband. You all can try to redevelop a friendship, but certain things would be off topics, off limits, with Melody. And that would be one of them. But no, Tisha listens and then brings it back to Marceau. And she says that when she looked at the pictures and video, it was people that Tisha knew. It was the friends, woman, plus this person and whatever. So she didn't feel there was any threat. It's just, people being nosy and seeing what they want to see. And then she says, people want me to be stupid so bad. And they want you to be a bad boy so bad. And they don't want to see us grow. They don't want to see us prosper. They want to see us fail. I don't think anybody necessarily wants to see you fail. Well, no, there probably are some people who want to see you fail. I think people want you to open up your eyes, but the reality is, Tisha, thou dost protest too much. You know your man, and you know his propensity to be a bad boy, which is why you don't trust him. I'm sure you've caught him, even though you said, he never lied to me. I ain't even caught him in no lie. You will never tell me that you've been in a relationship and been married to someone for 15 years and you have never caught them in one lie. Might not be a lie about another woman, but Marceau has never lied to you, girl. Okay. And no, we don't want you to be stupid. We actually want you to be smart. And all of these breadcrumbs that Marceau leaves, coming to Houston 2 or 3 days later than you, not wanting you to have a car, or not wanting you to have the car that you want, I should say, not wanting you to work outside of the home. A lot of things that he does are meant to control you and keep you in a box. That's just what that is. So Marceau is like, it is what it is. I'm an innocent man with an innocent face, and he couldn't even say that with a straight face. Next, Tisha tells Marceau about Destiny's divorce. I find it interesting that Marceau's first question was, what did Destiny do? Why was the woman the issue, Marceau? One thing I'm going to say about Marceau is definitely the man's man. He is a shaggy type dude. It wasn't me. Saw me on the counter, it wasn't me. Saw me in the bed with the chick, it wasn't me. You gonna believe me or your lying eyes? Excuse me, y'all. I've had a few of those in my life before, and so that's why I can tell you, Tisha, he's a liar and a cheater. But he has his story and he's gonna stick with it. So he wants to know what Destiny did for them to get divorced, or better yet, what should she have done? What wasn't she doing right that would lead him to divorce her? And I'm unsure who filed for divorce. Y'all sleuths, y'all people who watch all the stuff online, somebody from Huntsville around here, Y'all DM me and tell me, or if you know in the comments, let me know who divorced too between Destiny and LeBerick. Because Marceau says she had to have been doing something wrong or not doing enough of something to where he would divorce her and they have a small baby that is under a year. Right? He does say he wishes they would have fought it out because he's a fan of marriage. He believes in marriage and he wants young Black couples to marry and be together and build wealth and things like that. Like I said, that's the one little thing I like about Marceau. Hey, Aunt Bernice, thank you for joining me. She says Marceau will also always blame the woman for what's wrong in the relationship. Marceau is perfect, girl. Francois says he knows he can manipulate and control her as he pleases. Randa Diba says apparently Destiny cheated and there may be some doubt as to the paternity of the baby. Hold on now. Hold your mule. Come on with the tea. Afteen says the tea is that LeBerick left Destiny because that baby isn't his. He got a DNA test when it came out and he left her 3 weeks postpartum. Y'all are taking me today on this Good Sunday. Not Destiny. Not Destiny, y'all. Scandal. Ooh, I want to know now. This is interesting. They should never have gotten married in the first place. If you watch them on the first couple of seasons, they had been together on and off for like 9 years, and it was clear that it was one of those, I've been with him for this long, I might as well try to make it work. Oh, I want to see. Iverson Money says someone commented in another live, the baby wasn't his, and he filed 3 weeks after postpartum. Shirley MX says, wow, Destiny looking at Kimmy's son. Doesn't it look a little different now? She did trip me out at Mel's party when she was like, oh, we finna get naked now? I'm like, Destiny, you taking this hot girl summer thing a little too far, girl. You just a little too far. Randa Diva says, now it makes sense why she wasn't transparent with Melody after the divorce. I don't know if I would be sharing that. My baby is not for who it claims to be. Checking Boo says, I want to know 2 players what's going on with Destiny, but I still like her because she doesn't play that. Oh, yeah. I like her. I just wanted to know what happened. And if that is what happened, honey, that is some scalding hot tea. Thank you all for sharing. All right, let's get back to it. Marceau, Tisha brings up this therapy again. She wants him to go back with her to see Dr. Francis. Marceau refuses to go to therapy again. He thinks that they should just have events, dinners, and outings with other married couples, similar to what Melody and Martell claimed that they were doing with Miss Nell and Chris, and also similar to Married to Medicine, what Quad and Dr. Eugene were doing. I think, I'm not a married woman, however, I could see that being a good thing, to be with like-minded people and similarly situated people. I don't think it's an appropriate substitution for actual therapy and help from a licensed counselor, especially when they are friends, right? Because friends, whether consciously or subconsciously, will often take the side of the person who they're friends with in the couple relationship. So, as Tisha was trying to explain to Marceau, I think it's good to have a third party, a neutral person, an outsider who can listen to each person's perspective and try to help them formulate an action plan, a compromise, and make them hear the other person. Marceau, of course, he sticks to who he is. He's very quote unquote old school, i.e., very misogynistic. And so he does not believe that therapy should be a thing, that he should be able to listen to an outsider tell him about his home. He says he thinks they will make it to another 15 years based off of love. Y'all, love is wonderful. It does not cure all things, particularly by itself. You actually have to do the work. He also says that they should listen to the people in the household, meaning listen to each other. Well, that would be possible if Marceau actually listened to Tisha and not just hearing her. It's one thing to listen, it's another thing to actively listen. It's a whole other thing to comprehend what the person is saying to you, and it's a completely other different thing to actually act on it once you comprehend it. He has shown repeatedly, even in that small session with Dr. Francis, that he doesn't hear Tisha. He hears what he wants to hear. That she's a complainer and should be happy about the lifestyle that he gives her. It's just not cool. So he refuses to go to therapy again. She is tired of holding it in and figuring out things on her own. He thinks that what they have been doing is working, and it's not, which is why she wants therapy. He also will support her if she seeks individual therapy, but he is not going to couples therapy. Y'all, for me, as a single person, I have like a list of questions that I ask men, like when I'm getting to know someone. That's a big thing for me. If a person refuses to get therapy or even entertain the idea that they may need therapy, I'm not interested. I'm not. Because marriage, if you do it the right way, the way you're quote unquote supposed to do it till death do you part, that's a long time. Who you marry most times is not who you end up with, because we all grow, we all mature. And you'll get to spaces and times where you're not seeing eye to eye, and you can't necessarily do it on your own. So the fact that he is completely closed off to the idea, period, really bothers me. Her vibe says Tisha has no voice in her marriage. Marceau has no respect, none. Checking You Boo says, I believe Marceau minimizes Letitia's expectations. He minimizes her, period. Autumn says, most Black men won't go to therapy or they don't take it seriously. Jim B says, 100% agree. Why close the door to seek counsel? No one is perfect. And Francois says, Marceau knows how to manipulate her. Aunt Bernice says, Marceau loves Tisha, but he doesn't respect her at all. He's going to be the downfall of that marriage, not Tisha. He won't listen and heed the warning on the wall. As much as he tries to say and compare with him and her and Melody and Martell, absent the flagrant affair, their marriages are following the same pattern. So he might want to do some listening. Next, we see Destiny and Melody meet up at their home to talk about what happened at the Taco Tuesday party. They're at Destiny's house. Melody shows up with a watermelon in hand. Y'all, these shows and this stereotypical stuff is really driving me up a wall, but it is what it is, honey. Melody comes in with this big old watermelon in her hand. She wants to talk about everything that happened at Taco Tuesday. Melody says she tried to calm the situation with Tiffany. She says she wasn't taking up for Tiffany. She was just calming the situation because she knew that Tiffany likely felt attacked. And because she's known Tiffany, she didn't think that Tiffany was bringing it in that way to be messy. Thank you so much, Beautifully Animated, for the super chat. I have never thought of asking a potential mate how they feel about couples therapy. Thanks for the idea. We'll definitely start asking. Oh, you're more than welcome. And not just couples, individual therapy. I always ask people what kind of work they've done on their own, because most of us need it, particularly based on their family background, So it's just something that I ask, because if I'm doing my work, I need you to do it too. I don't want you to expect me to fix you and heal you, because it ain't happening. I will support you in it, but I can't do it for you. And that just came from a lot of hard-bought lessons that I learned in my 20s and early 30s that I will not be repeating. God save the same. Okay. Anyway, they start talking about this situation. Destiny is explaining to Melody why she felt how she felt about Tiffany and about Melody possibly knowing this information before Tiffany got there, and how she kind of just, mentioned this stuff to Tisha. Melody starts rolling her eyes, being very passive aggressive, sniggling and giggling every time this girl talks. And where I like Destiny is Destiny doesn't play those games. She's like, are we going to be little girls or are we going to be grown women and have this conversation? Melody literally did look like Melania or Malia. That's literally how she was acting. And every time I saw her face, I saw one of her daughters. That is how far she regressed. Nothing about her energy said grown adult woman who is here to solve a conflict. I hope she watches that back and reconsiders. Because if someone is talking to you directly and they're giving you that respect, they're being vulnerable with you, and you're I don't have these types of friends. So when I see these types of friends, it's very interesting. Melody, Destiny lets her know, when you stopped me at that table when I was agreeing with you, and then you were aggressive, you were shushing me, you were being very dismissive. Again, Melody just gets dismissive again. She sniggles, she disrespects her, and Destiny lets her know, like, I have issues with you and the tone that you took in the midst of the group. And if they are supposedly best friends amongst the bigger friend group, you would think that your best friend wouldn't handle you like that. So I'm side-eyeing Melody on all of this situation. Next, Melody just basically says, look, yeah, my tone may have been a certain way, but that's because I felt like you were interrupting me. You wouldn't let me talk, and you were being disrespectful as well. Finally, they get up from the couch, and we realize, or we are told, that Melody bought the watermelon as a test for their friendship. Like, okay, again, this is where I feel like this is overproduced, because if you're real friends, and real friends have tiffs, they have ups and downs. Some of my best friends, we've gone through periods where we don't talk for 6 months, and then we get over it and somebody calls and apologizes and we're back at it. But we have never used the watermelon to say, okay, we're going to cut this watermelon, and if it's still sweet, we'll be friends. But if not, we're not friends anymore. Thankfully, y'all, they cut the watermelon. The watermelon must taste good, and they hug and say, girl, we best friends again. That's a very fickle relationship if it relies on a watermelon and the sweetness thereof. Denise Pooh says Mel was so fake. Blossom Man says it's crazy. Buy Mel a watermelon. Zero Cares Given says it was cute but also childish. Sheila Mack says for real friends. Beat the Shit says they're not real BFFs. They can't be. High Vibe says that's weird. Yes, it was beyond weird. Lala Chanel says Melody is coming off shady this season. The shadiest. Next, y'all, we get to this 8th grade graduation party for the Bruzzins. I'll be honest with y'all. One thing about me being from the South, I've talked to like guys that I see about this kind of stuff. I would probably never name my son a junior. Not saying I wouldn't name him after his father, but he would be the second. He would not be a junior. I hate junior. I think Junior is the epitome of country. I just see somebody's grandma coming out, looking down the street, hollering, Junior, it's time to come in. I can't do it. So the Brosens, the brother cousins, are MJ, which is Marceau Jr. I said last week that they didn't have a boy. Y'all reminded me then, and some people were gracious enough to remind me in the comments. Did y'all watch the video? Because we covered that. I apologize for making that mistake, but they never show Marceau Jr., aka MJ. So we see Marceau Jr. this episode, also known as MJ. Then Monster, even though they call him Monster, that he is actually named Maurice Jr. And then their other brother comes in, Micah. So there is a Micah Jr. Again, I don't know if it was somebody's grandmama, great grandmama. I don't know who in their family said we're going to name all of these children starting with M's, but it has to go back kind of far because Uncle Mike is Uncle Mike. It's a lot of M's. So those are the brothers. Wanda is back, y'all. Miss Wanda is back. Some people will love this because she adds the drama to the show. I'm not a Wanda fan. Hey, Wanda, I know you watch the YouTube sometimes, but Wanda drives me. I don't deal well with elders who are overly messy and uncouth. I can't get with it. I just can't. It is so distasteful for me. And it's even worse when their children cannot put them in their place and they expect everybody else to fall in line because that is their mama. Your mama ain't gonna be over here talking to me crazy because she your mama, not my mama. Now I'm gonna be respectful because I respect my elders, but I'm gonna politely put you in your place and check you. So Wanda is back causing hell on the scene. She touched down and caused hell at the birthday party. How are you at the graduation party? This is what I mean about no couth. Now you toe up Kimmy's son's party last season. This season, you gonna tear up your own grandchild's party. You just don't care about anybody or anything. The toxicity of it all. I really feel bad for people who are bred into that level of toxicity. Just no class, no decorum, no boundaries. And it's been going on like that for your whole 50-some, almost 60-year-old life. It's sad because that's how that cycle continues. Then the poor children embarrassed because grandma acting a fool at the party. And then they just got to put their hands in their head because that's grandma. That's what everybody going to say. Well, that's grandma. That's just how she is. No, sir. No, ma'am. That's how she is at her house. Leave her at her house. I thought we had banned her. I was getting happy because we didn't see her no more after last season. I guess they wanted some more drama, so they done added Wanda back. Anyway, Wanda says she doesn't want a hug from Marceau. Marceau gives her some dap and stuff. Then she brings up this hot girl car that Tisha wants. She lets Marceau know that they both want the convertible. So again, Wanda is there riding on her daughter's coattails with her own husband. She got two husbands of her own. Neither one of them trifling husbands can't get you your own convertible. You a grown woman riding the coattails of your daughter. Just tragic. Ugh. Anyway, she Marceau makes a bet with Tisha that she can get she may be able to get this convertible if she can get Wanda to be quiet for one day while she's around them. He says it's a sucker bet because he knows it's not going to happen. It's definitely not going to happen. Denise Pooh says she's a fan fave, so she's gonna rev it up. Girl, it is a fan fave just for ratings because Wanda makes me actually want to turn my screen off. Checking You Boo says miss me with that's the way she is, or that's the way it is. Take some accountability and responsible. Accountability is an unknown word in Huntsville when it comes to Wanda. Checking You Boo says Wanda's trying to live through her daughter, Letitia. She absolutely is. Denise Boo says her hair won't move in a convertible. It won't. That'll be a good thing. She doesn't need the scarf or the head wrap to tie it down because it's not going to go. All of that jailed up, weed up. It's not going to go anywhere. Anyway, the kids get advice from all of the adults. The advice was very nice. One of them, Marceau, of course, says to stay humble but be confident because they are Scots. I think Micah told them to remember, or Zay, one of them, told them to remember that they have each other. That is a great thing to have because your cousins are usually your first friends, so they should really, embrace the fact that they have each other to lean on throughout this middle school, high school process. And Kimmy says, y'all are great kids. You're smart. You're polite. You got it from everybody except for Wanda. That was good. Then they give the kids a party bus with snacks, non-alcoholic drinks, all kinds of things. But then they go inside to have a grown folks party. So I'm like, is the party bus, have they been directed to go pick up some other kids? I hate when grown people do this. Y'all stop doing this. And I know they did it for the show. So don't be like, oh, Plez, you too serious. It's for the show. Whatever. It's symptomatic of a bigger issue. Quit having adult parties when it's supposed to be the kids' time. Like, y'all, it's more adults at the party than the kids. So I'm hoping that party bus wasn't just sitting in the parking lot. I'm hoping that the party bus driver had a list of addresses to swoop by and pick up some other kids. Because if it's just me and my 3 cousins or 2 cousins in a party bus with some snacks and drinks, I'm mad. Like, at least let them each pick 2 or 3 friends each. You didn't need a bus for just 3 of them. So let's see how that went. The adult party inside, though, Melody, Destiny, Lewis, Tiffany, and Martell show up. Later on, Saberic shows up. So the whole gang is there. Martell comes in with that medium shirt on. I just want him to go up one size. Just one size. How do you bust out of a polo shirt? Like, I understand the button downs, but the polo shirt got you looking like the Incredible Hulk. Like, oh. But that's the look that he goes for. I just don't understand it. Melody tries to give him the nice church hug. He wants a real hug, so he grabs her up in front of everybody. That makes everybody talk. Maurice says that he wants to talk to Tiffany and Lewis. This is the perfect time to talk with them about this whole vaping thing. Adrian Robertson says these elders aren't going to be happy until they get cussed smooth out. Stop being messy to other adults and thinking that they can't say anything back just because you're older. I try not to cuss people out, but I can see how they would get cussed out. Denise Pooh says it's an extra small. Abita Shit says hopefully the party bus took them somewhere. Girl, I hope. Because the way they walked off, I'm like, what is going on? Checking You Boo says Martell looks uncomfortable. I think he thinks that tight shirt thing is a good look, and it is not. Absolutely not. I don't, I don't get why he does it. I don't get why he does it. Randa Diva says, did you catch Tisha's hypocrisy saying at the taco party that no one can touch her man while she was touching Martell? All over. Maybe she feels that Martell is not a married man anymore, so she is free to touch. Who knows? But Maurice wants to talk to Tiffany and Lewis about this vaping thing. He takes them off to the side for them to have private conversation with him and Kimmy. And one thing that I noticed about Maurice, And I think it is another symptom of, as we've all talked about, the Scott men and their narcissism. He's it was so weird in this situation because Kiowa is there and he says that he talked, Kiowa knew about the vaping issue. Kimmy didn't. So he's going to talk and confront the people who brought their child's issue up in an adult function. And he didn't invite Kiowa. Kiowa had to inject herself into the conversation, similarly to what Kimmy says she has to do when Kiowa and Maurice are on the phone talking about Monster Jr. It's like he's just so self-serving, he can't see the bigger picture. You need the whole family here to talk about what's happening with this child that you all are co-parenting. It was just one little thing that bothered me about him. But he sits down and talks to Tiffany and Lewis. It's kind of pretty much, addressing Lewis. They're trying to do the respectful thing, man to man, woman to woman. Maurice lets them know this isn't cool. One, I feel like it's a privacy issue. Did you all get it from the school? Because if so, I'm going to have issues with that school. And Tiffany's like, no, I think we just kind of heard it around town, heard it through the grapevine. And two, he's like, even if you wanted to have the conversation, Kimmy's like, you could have pulled me off to the side and asked me that privately. I personally don't think Tiffany should have been asking her anything. Like, you have really big gall to come talk to somebody that you don't even really know, other than my kid and your kid plays a sport together. They're not friends. They're not close. So why would I come to you and say, oh, I heard around town that Monster was caught vaping in the bathroom? But yes, if you were going to say something, you for damn sure shouldn't have been saying it at the table with a group full of other women, grown women. It just always amazes me that people have no tact, no decorum. I would never approach someone that I don't have a close relationship with about their child. Like, that's just crazy. Unless I personally caught the child and I felt that it was something that the parent needed to know to stop the child from getting into more trouble. If she walked in the bathroom, I don't know why she would be in the boys' bathroom, but let's just say, let's say they weren't in the bathroom. Let's say they were behind a building. If she walked up and caught the children, that's different. But to address a rumor you heard to someone's actual parent and you're not in their friend circle, no ma'am, not your place. So Lewis speaks up for Tiffany. He says, oh, that's not her heart. She just kind of talks. She's blunt. She's transparent. She just talks and gets to know people. And so sometimes she does say the wrong things, but we talked about it at home. She realized that that wasn't a time and a place for that and that she shouldn't have done it that way. Tiffany says, yeah, I'm just that person. If it were our kids, I would post about it myself. Tiffany, if either of your sons got caught doing something that was against the rules or somewhat salacious, you would post your child's personal business or mistake. I'm guessing on social media, because where else would you post it to? You would post it for the public to read about your child in their teachable moment. Like, you got a lot to learn about children in safe spaces. Why? Yo, I had to this day, I think I still got some slight trust issues with my mama. I, came of age, quote unquote, became a woman. Y'all know what that means. But I was super early. It had not been explained to me. I was early, not 12, 13, 14 either, like early. And my mama told me she was not going to tell anybody. 10 minutes later, she has 7 sisters. 10 minutes later, I heard her on the phone calling 2 or 3 of her sisters to let them know. And I was traumatized. You said you wasn't going to tell nobody. And then she came back and said, well, I have to tell them because you may be at their house one day and get it, and they need to know to go get what you need from the store. Well, newsflash, parents, say that then. Say, hey, I'm going to have to let your aunts know because this might happen. Do not tell a child you're not going to tell anyone, and then you go tell everybody. That's not cool. That breaches trust. And despite what people think, children deserve trust, particularly from their parents. So if Tiffany if she actually believes that crap she was peddling, that she would post her own child's indiscretions on social media, she got other issues. But I honestly think that was some BS. Kiowa joins the conversation. She gives her issues with it. Maurice says you shouldn't publicize what's going on with somebody else's child because you don't know how that child will take it. You know, children commit suicide. They do all types of things, and you don't know how that could have affected my child. Tiffany says she thought that they were just having a healthy conversation about kids. This is where I question editing and production. The way it was edited, it looked like Tiffany just brought that up out of nowhere. If the ladies were having a conversation other than the superficial stuff that we saw about their kids playing sports together, but if they were having an actual conversation about raising teenagers or raising kids or whatever, then it is more, I ain't gonna say it's acceptable, but it does make more sense on why Tiffany brought that to light. However, I still don't think it was appropriate. She does not have that type of relationship with them. And if you're going to spill, quote unquote, someone's tea, spill your own. Your children are not perfect. I promise you. You have gotten some kind of call or report, particularly with them being teenage young boys. You have gotten some kind of call or report about your own children. So if you want to be transparent and use this as a teachable moment, use it with your own children. You don't bring somebody else's child into it. Like, I don't know who raised some of these people. They flip over to the other group of adults. Mel is thanking Marceau for giving her a bottle of the champagne that they're doing, chocolate in a bottle. And he says that he gave it to her because he wanted her to consider being like a brand ambassador or something. Because everybody's asking, oh, why you didn't give Martella a bottle? Why didn't you give anybody else a bottle? And of course, Miss Wanda jumps in and says, I don't think you should. Now, my issue with Wanda. Address your son-in-law. Melody did not initiate that, according to Marceau's own, interpretation of what happened. Marceau brought it to her. So why is it an issue that Mel took it? And you then make that an issue for Mel, that Tisha should have gave it to him and not Marceau. I get it, but you should have waited and addressed that with Marceau and with Tisha. It's what I mean about people not respecting boundaries and having decorum and a sense of time and place. You could have heard that information, digested it, went back to your daughter and your son-in-law and said, hey, y'all, Marceau, you said you gave her some wine. I think that just wasn't appropriate. I think Tisha should have done that. That's not a Mel issue. And rightfully so, Mel got up and left because she was sick of Wanda and her mess and insecure people thinking that it's something else going on. I was here for it, Sheila Mack says, I totally agree with Maurice said about how people will think about his black son. Yes, it will make his son, it can set up a stigma in people's mind about his son. Other kids' parents are going to say, if their son comes in and says, oh, I'm going to hang out with Monster. No, you can't be hanging around Monster. He vapes, which vaping is just like smoking back in the day, but you didn't want to get your kid caught up with smoking. Anyway, Francois says exactly, it was messy. J12, aka says, didn't Tisha bring Mel a bottle when she came to visit in the beginning of the season? That confused me. I did think I thought she brought a bottle. Adele says, didn't Tisha bring that chocolate champagne over to Mel's house as a housewarming when she came to Melody's new house for the first time? I think it's so as well. Francois says, Wanda needs to be checked. She been needed to be checked. High Vibe says, or somebody's daughter can't date Monster. Yes. Denise Pooh says, but you nicknamed him Monster. I agree. I don't like nicknames for this very reason, because you outgrow the nickname. As Cedric the Entertainer once famously said, I'm not calling no grown man delicious. So you got to think about these nicknames as your kids grow up. Man, Monster, Delicious, Big Fine, whatever. You got to think about that stuff. Next, Maurice and all of them are still talking about the vaping incident. Tiffany starts crying. Lewis is apologizing for her. Melody comes in like a bull in a china shop, wanting to know what's going on. Why is everyone over there? Melody, you are not this dumb. This is straight orchestration. This, or as other people have said, this is narcissism at its finest. You see that group of people talking, you know what's going on. So she comes in all loud and wrong. What's going on? What are y'all over here talking about? It looks like you're having a serious conversation. If someone looks like they're having a serious conversation, should you butt into it? Hell no. Anyway, she jumps in and again starts trying to cape for Tiffany and take up for Tiffany once they tell her the conversation is about the vaping incident. Oh, well, Tiffany has a good heart and she didn't mean it in that way. It doesn't matter sometimes how you mean something. What's done has been done. And as Maurice said, there are consequences to the things that you do and say. So then she notices that Tiffany is crying and she hugs her and tries to, hug her up and let her know, oh, don't cry. Why are you babying this grown woman? Y'all, Tiffany irritated the heck out of me. This whole episode, Tiffany literally was like a black Karen. She started the mess, was very indignant about starting the mess at first, and then she flips it and wants to play victim. If Destiny wants to hold a grudge, she can. I didn't bring any tea. I don't bring tea. What is that? Now, when Maurice and Kimmy and Kaya will come to you as grown adults, as the parents that they are, because you spoke on their child, you want to start crying? No one was cussing her out. No one was yelling at her. No one was demeaning her. And the grown woman sat there and started crying. Straight manipulation, straight victim mode. You, and I already know before some messy people watch this replay, being a victim is when no one has done anything to you. You've done everything to the other person. I sometimes, unfortunately, can be a crier, especially if I'm angry or emotional. I don't start crying when I know I started the crap. she started this. She opened this hand. And because she is being sternly addressed with her own mess, she starts crying. And Melody sits there and indulges that. Nah, she grown. Let her work that out. They go in the bathroom. Mel says that she thinks the biggest issue is that Kimmy didn't know. Tiffany says, nah, I actually think it's the timing, and I understand that. She comes out. Tiffany, Maurice sees her come out of the bathroom. He hugs it out with her. He's like, we're good. We needed to have this conversation, but we're good. He and Kimmy, don't care that she cried. That's why I like them. It is what it is. She needs to know the consequences of speaking on someone else's kids. She can be transparent with her own kids in her own business. Francois says, exactly, Plez, Tiffany is definitely a Karen. It was so crazy. Checking You Boo says, Tiffany opened the door and ran out the door when she got burned. Yes, Melody indulged it because it gave her life. Bernita says, can we start a petition to get Tiffany off of the show? They want drama, honey, so I don't think Tiffany is going anywhere. Inspire One says, Tiffany only started crying because she wanted Maurice to feel sorry for her and fall back. It didn't work. Shut up next time, ma'am. I Beat the Shit says, I don't cry easily. I got to be extremely sad or frustrated. Yeah, I don't cry easily either. I'm mad, and frustrated when I'm crying. Angela Gardner says, Mel doesn't know what they were talking about. Tiffany needed to be corrected. Randa says, I coined my own term, offender's fragility. That's a good one. Linda Ford says, right, cry because we feel too much. Right, let her go through her actions. Checking You Boo says, exactly, there are consequences for speaking about other people's children. Francois says, I dealt with a person like Tiffany once at work, throw stones and hides her hand when she gets caught. I know too many people like that. Next, we see Derek's goofy self rolls in. He joins the party. All the men want to go outside and talk. Wanda doesn't want Martell to leave. She's pulling all on him, rubbing on him. They make jokes because Marcel is like, that's my mother-in-law, and he's like, she's rubbing on me. She wants me. And talking about the tight shirts and things like that. Melody jumps in and tells Martell that he should not let them make him the joke of the day. And so everybody's like, Team Hope, Team Hope. Melody is still taking up for this man. Look, I haven't been married to someone for 14 years, so I don't get it. After all he put her through, I wouldn't be taking up for him. He could be everybody's joke of the day, but they still have this, feelings don't go away overnight, so she's still taking up for him. Marcel says that they still love each other and that they are still on the same team. When the men get outside, they start busting Martell's balls about Melody and still being under her finger, even though they're divorced. Wanda is back in the building trying to give Mel and Martell advice. I don't know who's taking romantic relationship advice from Wanda, but I would not. I wouldn't even stand there and indulge her in that. But it's a show, so they got to make a show. Wanda talks about coleslaw. It is so funny to me, y'all. Shout out to Funky Dineva, whether you like him, love him. It's so funny how YouTube can change popular culture or affect popular culture. That he was the first person that I heard refer to that girl as coleslaw as the side piece, the specific side piece, and it has found its way into the show. Melody checks her and says, well, it's funny, you don't know who coleslaw is, but you follow her on Instagram and you compliment her and tell her she's beautiful. Wanda says that no man will ever love Melody and respect her the way that Martell does. And this is what messy people like Wanda do. Now, last season, she interrupted the party, telling Melody to leave and she can do better and blah, blah, blah. Now she's telling her no man will love her and respect her, especially with her 4 kids. Is that because didn't nobody want you with all your kids? How many siblings does Tisha have? Girl, y'all got to stop letting people who are clearly still bitter and wallowing in their own pain feed you advice. So because even with two husbands, I don't know how financially active or how respectful they were with you and your children. So because you felt that, Melody won't be able to find anybody to love her, respect her either because she has 4 kids. Okay, girl. She says that they both love each other and that they should try to work something out. Martell doesn't feel comfortable with this whole coleslaw reference and conversation. He tries to run out the door as fast as he can. He says he doesn't want to get in any more trouble. Wanda keeps saying, oh, you love her. She loves you. He loves her. And, you know, Martell says it. Yes, I do love Melody. I'll always love her. Melody is like, she didn't respond on that one. So he said he had to leave while he was ahead. Wanda says Mel should give Martell a chance to be her man. I never understand people who get a divorce and then go back and remarry the person that they just divorced. That's neither here nor there. I don't get it. We'll never get it. Divorces are hard. It's one thing to make up and break up, but we went through a whole divorce. There's really nothing you could ever say to me. Might need some maintenance every now and again. If that's what you need with him and cheating with this girl and creating a whole nother baby, I wouldn't even want maintenance, but you got to do what you got to do. I understand. So they go outside. Martell gets outside and they're like, what was going on? Melody was cussing you out. He's like, Melody wasn't cussing me out. So they get past that. Martell, they asked him if he could go back, would he? And he said, whatever God has for us, that is what will happen. I'm not going to negate it, but I don't know if it'll happen. They then give him a barrage of questions. Marceau asks if he had a paternity test. Then he tells him if he loves her, he should not get a paternity test. That's not a reason not to get a paternity test, sir. You should always get, if you have a question, I should say that, you should get a paternity test. He doesn't answer that one. Then they ask if he's having a hot boy summer. He says it's always a hot boy summer. And then someone else throws out the question and asks if he loves the side piece. And he doesn't answer that one either. So the show goes off like that. We'll have to see what goes on next episode. Let's see what you all are saying. Checking You Boo says Martell admitted that he will always love Melody. He just was not in love with Melody. Checking You Boo again says, I didn't like that Martell had that relationship with Ariane, cold-blooded. Adele says, abusive people tell others no one will want them with 4 children. There are plenty of new relationships with blended families. That's just a way to keep somebody stuck. Bernita says, I've only seen one divorce remarriage work. I don't see how any of them can work. Denise Who says, coming from Marceau, the secret cheater. That's what he is. All right, y'all. I took way too long on that, but it was a really good episode. And as you can see, I really like that show, and I have lots of opinions and thoughts on it. As always, I will do the timestamps as soon as this uploads to YouTube. So if you're catching the replay, there will be timestamps, and I have got to run because Jesus, this is already an hour and 48 minutes. High Vibe says, I had an aunt who remarried her ex-husband. She divorced him again. All right, y'all. Let's get over to Family or Fiance. It was a good episode. I'm not gonna go too deep into it because it wasn't necessarily that deep of an episode. Eve, I think, says, hi, Plez, popping in and popping out as I'm going to dinner with my husband. I want to say I'm so glad you have your own channel. You're super intelligent and super cool. I'm a proud subscriber. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. Y'all, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for your support. Chilio Max says, thanks, Plez. Checking You Boo says, Plez, you're doing a good job. We appreciate it. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for joining in with all of your comments and feedback. I really do like it. Checking You Boo, and I appreciate it. Francois, thank you so much for the super chat. So let's get into Family or Fiance. The couple this week was Tiffany and Fred. Now, for some reason, it could be because of what Fred has gone through. They didn't really talk about their age, but Tiffany looked really young to me compared to Fred. But we see that they are a couple. They're engaged. They have been together for 6 years. She says they met at work and he had no swag, but he gave her lots of time, attention, and affection, and that is what won her over. Now, unfortunately, Fred cheated early on in their relationship. Probably, I think they said within the first 3 years or so, and so their foundation has been rocky ever since then. Sequoia Taylor, thank you so much for the super chat, sis. Denise Pooh says he's an alcoholic and continuously dismisses her. Yes. So Denise just told y'all the issues, what I was getting to. He proposed to her on a cruise. She had gotten him a cruise for his birthday, excuse me. And while she was getting ready for them to go out to dinner, she turned around and he was on one knee and proposed to her. What I found really interesting was that she said she felt backed into a corner with accepting the proposal because he proposed on the first day of the cruise. So she felt like if she said no, she was going to have to be stuck in a room with him for the next 7 days on this cruise, and she didn't want to do that. Eek! Like, to learn that your fiance accepted your proposal because she didn't know how you would respond in close quarters if she said no. That's a lot. Their issues when they meet with Tracy. The first thing that Tracy says as they're sitting here, if y'all can kind of see, Fred, his elbow is up a little bit in front of Tiffany's. And so Tracy points out his body language. When they first walked in, he was leaning back, more on the couch, cozied up with Tiffany. But as he leans forward to talk to Tracy, Tracy says he disengages from Tiffany to talk and that he leaves her often. Tiffany feels the same way, that he dismisses her and minimizes her, and this is just another symptom of that playing out in the body language. Fred doesn't think it's that serious. He's like, I just leaned up to talk to Tracy. I'm not minimizing or dismissing you. So we will see that thing play out through the episode and what is the core of what's going on in their relationship. The minimization, the dismissal, and trust are their biggest issues. He cheated. When he cheated that time, he cheated for about 6 to 7 months. She saw it. She said the signs were there. She saw text messages, and he constantly gaslit her to make her think she was imagining it and that none of it was happening. They don't agree on what cheating is. For Tiffany, even entertaining a woman, talking to a woman is cheating for her. Fred has a problem. He talks to other women on social media all the time and doesn't tell Tiffany about it. And this is what Tiffany really does not like. To her, he's still cheating. They both, when the family comes in, they both bring their moms. So both Tiffany and Fred's mom is there. Tiffany and Fred both bring a brother and both bring a best friend. So it's pretty even on both sides. What was really interesting about this episode, Fred pretty much had no allies, y'all. Even his family was on Tiffany's side and was worried about their relationship. His family said that they were worried about his drinking, about the fact that they felt he needed individual therapy, that the couple had trust issues, and that they did not have good communication. Tiffany's brother was very upset because in 6 years, this was his first time meeting Fred. He felt that was very disrespectful. Her best friend is worried about their communication, and her mother does not think that Fred is a good fit or a good match for her. They all think the couple loves each other, but that they're not in love with each other. And that's a hard thing. It's one thing to love somebody. It's another thing to be in love with somebody. However, I think a lot of times in our generation, especially, people romanticize what in love is. You won't always feel butterflies and gooey about your partner. It's about the long term. Are you in it for the long haul? Does your love cause you to rethink your actions and to make the hard decisions? Do you care about the other person's feelings and what they need and want, and you want to make those things happen? So I think for me, that was more of the issue, that the dismissal of her, not the whole in love, like, eh. So they do, every episode they do these games where each person has to answer questions with the other person's family member. He's answering questions about their relationship, mainly about his cheating and his drinking. She answers questions, and his mother asks her why she thinks he drinks, and she says that he may be drinking because of PTSD from the military, and she says she's afraid of being hurt again. So as much as I know people are like, man, therapy, y'all, therapy is important. He has personal individual issues because he was in the military. Lots of people in the military have PTSD. Some of it is very severe. So instead of him going to a counselor, going to the VA and trying to get tools and maybe possibly some medication to help those issues, he drowns himself in liquor. And then that affects his relationship. And if they had children, it would affect his parenting as well. They talk about him entertaining a woman on social media just a month or so before they come to the show. His mother tries to take up for him again. And Tiffany says, no, his mother jumps in and says, well, he's just a very friendly person. He doesn't want to sleep with every woman he talks to. And Tiffany says, yeah, you're absolutely right. However, in this communication with this woman, Fred asked the woman to hit him up whenever she's in the city. So why does this woman need to hit you up when she comes to town? Why would you, for what? Are you going to take her out on a date? Do you want to show her around town? And why would you do those things when you have a committed girlfriend, you have a fiance that you've been with for 6 years? Questions that need answers. So yeah, those types of messages do lend themselves to somebody who is leaving the door open for something to possibly happen. He's gonna leave the door open. His mom admits that he is the problem. He keeps saying that he's working on it, which lots of people say, and his own brother. Yeah, I was confused by his brother. I couldn't tell if his brother was just really wanting him to be a good man, or if his brother had eyes for Tiffany, because his brother was going hard in the paint on poor Fred. I did kind of feel bad for Fred on that, because his brother was really going in on him. And when he said that he was working on it, his brother says, well, how are you working on it? And he says, well, I'm keeping it in mind. His brother's like, that's not enough. You can't just keep it in mind. You have to actually put actions behind, your words, and make tangible steps to improving your relationship and treating this woman the way she needs to be treated. His mom jumps in again at the family dinner and takes up for him and says, well, it's unfortunate, but sometimes we hurt the people that are closest to us. The whole hurt people. That drives Tiffany up a wall, and she's like, I love you. Let's just say Mama Fred, but you enable him. You keep taking up for him. And his mom says, well, I'm taking up for him because he's my child and I want to protect him. And I feel like he's being attacked right now. And it was true. It was a true sign of an enabler. Although I do know that, it is hard to sit back and watch your loved one be hit from all sides. However, I don't think he was being attacked. He was being held accountable. Yes, his feet were being held to the fire a little bit. And he's a big boy. He's a grown man. He has served in the military. he can take a couple of hard questions. Yes, Sheila Mack says a fellow soldier died in his arms. That is one of the things that happened that he probably needs some serious help for. Terry B says, I like that his brother was telling him the truth. He was. Checking You Boo again says Fred's mom is not helping, operating in codependency. And Simone says Tiffany is really upset. He made her feel crazy when she questioned if he was cheating or not. It went on for 6 months. She should have broke up with him then. She should have. It's really hard when you know something is going on and someone is gaslighting you and making you believe that you what you see and what you feel is not true. She knew he was cheating. She should have gone with her gut and left, but most of us have been there before. I know I have, so I'm not going to fully put that on her, but 6 years is a long time. It's a long time to give somebody a chance to get it right. Tiffany tells his mom, that she just is going to keep enabling him. She gets up and leaves the table. Her mom, the next scene we see her, Tiffany's mom is asking her if she thinks this is going to work. Fred and Tiffany talk, and Tiffany lets him know that the perception is that Fred is not taking this seriously. He only is doing surface work. He's not getting to the deeper issues that they have. Fred tells his friend that he's being held to the fire about old stuff. And his friend lets him know, nah, bruh, it's new stuff too. Like, you still did this just last month. You told the girl, let me know when you're coming into the city. So I liked that his friends, his brother, everybody was holding his feet to the fire and calling him on his lies and on his BS. Fred says that he's working on things, but no one seems to see his progress but Tiffany. Tiffany, when Dr. Tracy asks if she's still in love with him, Tiffany says she doesn't know if she's in love with him, or if she even still wants to marry him. Things have happened between them that has taken away the fun and lightness of love. And that's a hard situation to be in. A lot of people want to stay in situations because of the years that have been invested, i.e. Alexia from Put a Ring on It. But when it's not fun anymore, when you can't muster up a smile, when everything that person does irritates you, that's a hard space to be in. And sometimes too much history has happened that no amount of therapy can cure. She has her own form of PTSD right now because she is constantly waiting on the day when he will cheat again, or the day when she'll find a new text message or DM. And that's a hard life to live when you can't trust your partner. She says that she needs to see change. He wants to consider her feelings and her, and he does not want to be dismissive to her. He just has to learn how to do that. He said he's willing to do anything that he can to learn how to love her, how to give her the attention she needs, how to acknowledge her in the way that she needs. And she says that she wants to believe him, but it's hard for her because he said all of this before. Tracy sees something in their communication and says that the test will be that if he is open, she has to be open too. So if he is now saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to give you everything you need, she has to be open to trying to actually give him the time to see if he will follow through on what he said. It's a test for them in their relationship. The task that Tracy gives them is to create an intimate dinner. The men in the family will cook for them. The women will set the location, the decor, and the ambiance of the date. Her friend says that Fred is emotionally unavailable. I agree. Her mom thinks that he's not in love with her anymore. And his family just tells him that he needs to pick his words carefully. Learn how to listen before he speaks. Linda Ford says, I have a son and daughter. They complicated. Checking You Boo says, it is irrational to trust he will when he is not. Yes. Bernita says, I truly agree that it's extremely hard when you can't trust your partner. Yeah. Cornerstone of a relationship is trust. If you don't have that, it's a hard road. So they get to the date. He's a little clumsy. He breaks the glass. You can tell he's nervous. He breaks the glass at the table. He has a hard time opening and popping the champagne. He finally gets it out and he overpours the champagne a little bit. He calms down a little bit and he says that seeing and hearing everyone's comments and feedback toward him so far has really opened up his eyes and let him know that he needs to change some things. Tiffany is explaining herself to him and saying, we're different. We see things differently. Although something might not affect you, it may affect me, and I am entitled to that. When she says that, he chuckles a little bit, and that puts her on guard again. She feels dismissed again. I know why she felt like that, and I'm not going to give him a pass because he should not have chuckled. What I will say is some people, especially someone who's learning how to be emotionally intelligent and emotionally supportive, sometimes like nervous laughter is a real thing. I don't think he was intentionally dismissing her. I think he just didn't know what to say, which is why he should have taken his family member's suggestion to not say anything. Just let her talk. Let her get it out. Listen, digest, take it in, and then respond. But they try to move past it. She asked him why he loves her. He goes back to, I've loved you from the first time that I saw you. For me, that's not a good answer. And every time he was asked that question, that's what he went back to. The butterflies, the infatuation, the lust, the whatever you feel when you first meet someone should be very different from from a relationship 6 years in. They've been through a lot in this 6 years. He should be able to vocalize, you care for me, you've been there for me when I was sick. I love your smile and your ambition. Like, there should be reasons he loves her, not just, I loved you from the first time I laid eyes on you. Yeah, basic. That's what they're talking about that surface level work. Next, she questions him about his drinking. He cuts her off and says he doesn't even really drink that much. She gets frustrated and is like, never mind. And then she's like, nope, I got to stop doing that. I'm going to ask again. So she asks again if the family should say, if she asked them today if he had a problem with drinking and with alcohol, what would they say? He says they should say no. And so she asks him, why does he drink so much? She thinks it seems like he needs a beer just to be normal. He says, I can see where it comes across like that, but I don't need a beer to feel normal. He says from here on out, he's going to get help and work on himself in their relationship. He wants to now get therapy and talk to someone about his issues. When they get back with Tracy, he says, well, I just wanted to listen and be quiet, but I couldn't do that because she asked all these questions. She says she's asking questions to see where his head is and to get an understanding of what has changed since they've been there for those 3 days. He says he's going to listen, process, and actually respond to her from now on. They get to the blessing ceremony, and they don't get a blessing from any of the family members. All 6 say no, they should not move forward. Tiffany lets the family know that they have, in fact, postponed the wedding, and she's going to give him time to work on himself, but this will be his last chance. He shocks everybody, and re-proposes to her in front of all of the family members. Her brother did not like that at all. He's very upset and questions why Tiffany would even say yes. Her mother calls him an attention whore and that he was just doing that to get the attention back on him. Fred says he has committed to counseling and committed to getting better and taking their relationship seriously. In the update, we see that Fred is in fact in counseling. He has cut back on his drinking. Tiffany does not think that he's cheating or entertaining any other women. Their communication has improved, but no wedding date has been reset. Thank you so much, Ann Houghton, for the super chat. Denise Pooh says, nah, they would all say yes. High vibe that he had a drinking problem. Absolutely. Thank you for catching that super chat for me. Lovely Gavon. Hey, Plez. Hey, how are you today? Sherry M says she never set clear boundaries and he never had to do the work emotionally. She has put up with so much that he doesn't take her seriously. I could not have said it better. Denise Pooh says she calls the wedding off and he dismisses her again by proposing to her. Oh, wow. That's a great perspective. Very true. Terry B says a desperate move and it worked for her. Simone says his fellow soldier friend dying in his arms has messed him up. Once he gets counseling for that, he may be better. I hope so. I just hope he takes counseling seriously. Auntie Eva says, I think her brother felt like it was a manipulative move. It was very manipulative. Very manipulative. Adele Williams says, too many red flags for me. If I was Tiffany, Fred is just manipulating Tiffany to get what he wants on the second proposal. High Vibe says, Tiffany should run, take the L, sis. She absolutely should. So next, y'all, put a ring on it. Put a ring on it was a lot this episode. And I think it's because Alexia and Darian aren't there anymore. So we had to really focus on the other couples. And the other couples had a lot going on. We first see, I'm going to just go couple by couple, LaRonda and Sean and my thoughts on them. Sean says he seems to have grown from the last date. He now knows that he can be around a woman that he's attracted to, but not make it sexual. So when they open up their meeting with Dr. Nicole, deciding if they're going to go on new dates, what their assignment is going to be for this week. So Sean decides not to go on another date with the young lady that he had been dating. LaRonda, though, decides to go on another date with Derek. Sean is not very happy about it, but he doesn't get as crazy as he used to get. He lets it go. Sean has experienced a lot of domestic violence in his life. The couple's assignment for the week is that they have to really talk and think about family. How has family influenced and how will it influence their romantic partnerships and relationships? So Sean has experienced a lot of domestic violence in his life. His father is also an alcoholic. LaRonda, on the other hand, has a great relationship with her family. Very close, very tight-knit. She has a great relationship with her father. Sean's relationship with his father has affected their relationship because LaRonda really wants them to have a good relationship. She wants them to focus on healing and restoration, and Sean is pretty much closed off to that. He says he's tried in the past. It's never been good, so he doesn't even want to try again. LaRonda, the next thing we see with her, she goes on her boxing date with Derek. She likes that Derek is a leader. He's confident. He's very goal-oriented. She says that Sean has these qualities as well. However, sometimes he does struggle with being confident. She wants him to be more confident. She says that she would continue to date Derek if she were, in fact, single. LaRonda, like I said before, the next time we see them, they're talking about the family interaction in their relationship. She has a big, tight-knit family. Sean is close to his mom and siblings, but not his dad. Sean admits that he needs help with healing in the relationship with his dad. He does not know how to navigate that. Dr. Nicole, y'all, gave some serious knowledge, gave some serious advice. If you are in a relationship where you need some healing, whether that's a family relationship, whether that's a romantic relationship, whether that's a friendship, whatever it is, take some of what Dr. Nicole said. I know I'm going to use it for me. It blessed me, y'all. So Dr. Nicole says reconciliation and resolution are two different things. You cannot rely on reconciliation to get your healing. She says the difference between reconciliation and resolution is that reconciliation requires two people coming to the table versus resolution, which only calls for one person to come to the table. You cannot make another person come to the table and heal with you. So therefore, reconciliation sometimes is a futile attempt, because whoever you need healing, whatever relationship you need healing from, if that person is completely closed off to it, you can't force it on them. So she says instead that you can resolve and heal by yourself. And that's why I think I've said before, closure is a myth. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do and heal the hurt that you have to heal, because you may never get an apology or whatever you need, acknowledgement, whatever, from the other person. So you have to learn how to do it by yourself. And that's what she's talking about in this reconciliation versus resolution thing. She talks about, the complexity of the parent and child relationship. She says your parents' choices are not always about you. It is possible when your parents aren't whole themselves or they are in pain that they don't know how to heal and deal with this relationship with you. Sean has to resolve to heal for himself and hold himself accountable. It's really illustrated for me the importance of doing self-work before you have kids. Iyanla talked about this a lot when she was doing Heal Your Life. Iyanla Fix My Life, about children not knowing their parents' stories and their parents only doing the best that they could with the knowledge and skill set and tools that they had. So this is just another extension of that. His dad, especially with him being an alcoholic, he clearly is broken himself. And he's trying to figure out ways to cope with that. And he's doing possibly the best that he can do. Now it's on Sean to deal with these issues for himself, to better his relationship and the relationship with his children if he has them. Lastly, we see them asking about another date. LaRonda says she enjoyed her date with Derek, but she will not continue to date him. She said that she got what she needed from those dates, and she appreciates Sean and his growth. He did not throw a tantrum when she said she was going to go on another date with Derek. And so to her, that shows the difference between the first time she went on a date when he was crying and throwing up, y'all, to where he is now, where he is more calm and confident. He definitely has grown throughout this process. Next, we see Jessica and Eric. So Jessica and Eric get back on this argument where he did not acknowledge her for Mother's Day. She says she took herself to dinner for Mother's Day. He did apologize for not doing anything for her for Mother's Day, and she never responded to him. So Dr. Tracy shows them how They both wanted acknowledgement and didn't get it. So moving forward, they need to learn how to vocalize their needs and communicate to each other. Don't just assume. Now, this kind of bothered me because you do need to vocalize your needs to your partner. No one is a mind reader. Howsoever, Jessica and Eric have been together for 4 years, 3 or 4 years. Has this man never acknowledged her for Mother's Day? Like, I would think that's just a normal thing. If I've been with somebody for 4 years and they're a mother, even if they're not a mother to my children, I mean, I acknowledge my friends on Father's Day. My best guy friends, I say at least Happy Father's Day. Now I don't go get them gifts and stuff. But I acknowledge that they are good fathers. So I don't necessarily know if Eric needed to be told that he should have done something for that girl for Mother's Day. But this is the, advice that Dr. Nicole gives them. Next, they go to talking about Eric and his dates with Leilani. Jessica has an issue that Leilani is very touchy-feely and that Eric does not check her about it. Eric, again, he has Fred's issue from Family of Fiance. He's very dismissive. He doesn't think that it's that serious. And Dr. Nicole challenges him. Would you like Sean, the guy that Jessica has been dating, to be touchy-feely with her? He says no. And so she says, well, look, it's about accountability. This goes both ways. So he agrees that it should go both ways. Jessica says she enjoyed her last date with Sean. She felt comfortable enough with him that she went on the date without makeup. She has never really felt that comfortable with Eric. She elects to go on a 4th date with Sean because she says she feels seen and heard when she's with him. Eric also goes on another date with Leilani. Jessica doesn't mind. She says she just worries. She wants to make sure that he respects her boundaries and wishes. The next thing we see them talking about Alexia and Darian's situation. Jessica says this really makes her side-eye Eric because she believes Eric could do the same thing. Jessica feels that they are very wishy-washy in their process. Eric says that he's growing a lot and Jessica just can't see it. So next we see Eric and Leilani on their date. They go to a salt room. She says that it's good for relaxation and increases libido. Leilani puts it on, y'all. She puts it on really thick and hard. At first, they're sitting in some chairs talking to each other. Then they lay on the floor and get kind of cozy. While they're laying on the floor, Leilani is stroking his hand and, they're just laid up in these robes, getting really comfortable with each other. Eric says that their interaction helps him deal with temptation because he's there and he's engaging with her, but he hasn't allowed it to go all the way. So he thinks that is growth for him. Leilani says she is helping him because she is thoughtful and considerate, things that Jessica is not. And I thought that was very, I thought it was a reach. I don't ever recall, he could have, but I don't really recall Eric saying that Jessica is never thoughtful or considerate of him. I just think like a lot of people, if he can get someone to cater to him in all ways, he will. And Leilani seems to be that person. Jessica is concerned with Eric's non-relationship with his mother. They get back and they talk about this family assignment. And so we learned that Eric has a very strained relationship with his mother. This affects their relationship because he shuts Jessica out just like he does his mom. His mom, in turn, then doesn't like Jessica. that's the reason, once they talk about the issues with Eric and Eric's mom, I don't think Eric's mom doesn't like Jessica because of something that Jessica's done. I think Eric's mom doesn't like Jessica because she likes money, and with Jessica being there, that's less money than she can get because Eric has a woman. I think that's really what that's about. But it bothers Jessica that his mom does not like her. Eric has some issues with his mother and feeling that his mother is never satisfied. He's also tired of apologizing first whenever they have an issue. And Jessica says he should always apologize. He should always be the bigger person. I have to absolutely disagree with Jessica on this one. I think Jessica's own issues, she's projecting those things onto Eric. And regardless of what people like to say, parents can be wrong. Parents can be toxic. And I don't think that you should do any and everything to maintain a relationship with someone who is hell-bent on destroying the relationship. Because Jessica did not have her own relationship, because she was adopted, and she longs for that biological mother connection, she says that she would do anything to have a relationship if she were Eric. And unfortunately, what they don't realize is they are two sides of the same dysfunctional coin. A lot of people don't understand that toxic parents and absent parents are pretty much the same thing. When you're a toxic parent, you still create insecure attachments in your children, which makes it harder for them to grow up into secure adults. When you're an absent parent, you're not there, so you can't create the attachment. But it literally results in the same thing most times. So one quick thing I want to do is 5 signs of a toxic parent. Some people wonder, what's a toxic parent? People love using that word toxic. They've overused that word. Everybody ain't toxic. Yeah, nah, everybody isn't, but lots of people are, including your mama and daddy sometimes. And you have to set up appropriate boundaries with them. I'm not an advocate of cutting a parent off. I am an advocate of boundary setting. And some people will tell you, you should cut them off. I'm just saying I'm not an advocate of that. And when I was in therapy and I was, well, not me, but I've seen people been given that suggestion when I would be in training, for my social work degree and stuff. I just don't, for me, cutting off a parent is a lot, but I know there are times when it needs to be done. So 5 signs of a toxic parent. Number 1, they are overly critical. It's one thing to criticize your child and to give them instruction and discipline, but you should not be overly critical of your children. When you do that, it makes them feel like they're not good enough, that nothing is ever right. Don't be overly critical. Don't compare them to the other kids at school. Really watch that, right? Number 2, they demand your attention. You can't have, once you get to be the appropriate age, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a healthy friendship with other people, because they want all of your attention all the time. That's toxicity. Number 3, they use guilt and money to control you. This is a classic thing that Eric's mom, according to him, is doing. But with Eric, it is because he made it to the NFL. His mom thinks he should do more and more and more for him. You can also see this particular sign at play with Miss Wanda. You can see it at play with Candace's mom on Housewives of Potomac. How many times did we watch her use the fact that she gave Candace this or bought this for Candace or subsidizes Candace's lifestyle to guilt Candace into something. That's a toxic parent. And what's crazy is Candace's mother is a psychiatrist or a psychologist. So even people with the degrees can be toxic. Number 4, they give you the silent treatment. When they don't get their way, they ice you out. That's one thing that Eric says his mother does as well. She won't talk to him. She makes him apologize first. Number 5, they scare even their adult children. Some people think that that's great. It's not. Respect and fear are 2 different things. You should always respect your parent. And you should maybe have a little dose of healthy fear, especially as a kid. Oh, no, I can't do that. My mama gonna get me. Healthy fear. But you should not be like deathly afraid of your parent. Some of these relationships and interactions that we watch on these reality shows, one of the people that were on Family or Fiance, the young lady whose mother wanted her to go back and marry her ex-husband. When Tracy told her, you need to have this talk with your mother, that grown woman was shaking in her boots, crying and running from the room because she did not want to have a conversation with her mother because she feared her mother would cut her off. That's a problem. So, yes, you can have toxic parents. It's not a good thing. And you should not necessarily do any and everything to keep the relationship. So I disagree with Jessica on that one a lot. However, like I said, Jessica has her own issues, her own abandonment issues. She says her mom giving her up for adoption made her think that she was not good enough. If her biological mom didn't want her, then why would anyone else want her? That was hard to watch. She really needs some counseling. Her mom never looked for her, even though she was raised by an aunt. Her mom never looked for her, and she never had a relationship with her mom. She says that she knows her mom was white and she was a prostitute. She was disowned by her family for having a baby by a black man. Jessica feels that this relationship directly led to her stripping, and it affects her because she gets mad when people try to compare stripping to prostitution. She would never be a prostitute, but she was a dancer because she felt that that's what she needed to do for her life. These are just 2 broken people. And I really wish that they would get some individual counseling before they try to get into an actual marriage. And if Jessica acquiesces and lets him, for him to have another child, they really need some help. High Vibe says, parents love to quote the scripture to honor your mother and father for all their days, etc., etc. But the other part of scripture says parents, fathers should not provoke the child. The scripture absolutely says that. Inga Lawson says Jessica needs therapy. They both do. I agree. Kennedy Monroe says she's not as shallow as I thought. She's not. She is hurt. That's what that is. She's hurt, and she has low self-esteem and low self-worth. And she puts a lot of her worth and her stock into her outward appearance, which is why she said she felt so good that she could not wear makeup in front of Sean. Next, we see Jessica on her 4th date with Sean. It's a dinner date. I was like, I guess he was being a gentleman and didn't want her purse on the floor, but her Birkin bag was behind him the whole time, which I thought was a very interesting placement and interesting to this, this narrative of her being materialistic. I don't think that was lost on production. She tells Sean that he's too nice. Sean says nice guys always finish last, and Jessica actually agreed with him. She likes his vulnerability and wonders why Eric can't be the same, because he's not equipped to be that way. He can get that way, but he has to do his own work. Sean says he'll be unfulfilled if he doesn't see her anymore. And she says Sean is like a breath of fresh air. Sean just wants her to be happy and would like for her to break things off with Eric, but understands if she does not. But he lets her know that he's ready, willing, and able to be there if Eric can't. Next, we see them with Dr. Nicole. Eric says his mother changed once he made it into the NFL. She became money hungry. He bought her a house, but it wasn't enough. She asked about furniture and a car. And he used to feel guilty and like he had to do those things. And then he stopped. He says that he has decided that he wants to write her a letter to share with her how he feels when she, acts the way that she acts. Dr. Nicole advises him to also include some boundary setting in that letter to let his mom know where he is, what he's willing to do, and what he won't do. She says that this will help develop communication and boundaries within their relationship. Eric lets Jessica know that he sees her adoption as a strength, that she was raised by the people she was raised by and still has become the woman that she is. Jessica says that the emotion that Sean showed her at their date was different than emotion she's ever seen from another man, because usually when men are emotional about their relationship, it's because they are angry or mad with her. So for Sean just to be vulnerable, it was something very different than what she's used to. She says she doesn't think Eric has ever shown emotion for her in their relationship without being angry or jealous. He disagrees and says that he sends her nice things every day and he shows that she cares. And if she can't see that, he doesn't know what else to say. We briefly saw Alexia. The girls went to visit Alexia at her home just to check on her. Alexia says she's annoyed by this whole thing. She says that even though they agreed to remove boundaries for the show, morals should have still been in play, and he should never have been with Kai. They support the girls. Other ladies let her know that they support her and they're going to be there for her. I did see the stuff, y'all, floating around social media about them this week, with them going back and forth in messages and comments and DMs, and Darian saying that Kai is there with him now, cooking for his son. And all I can say on that is that just, again, shows what kind of low self-esteem Kai has. She is on the same level as Coleslaw Ariane, because a man got on national television and told you that he didn't want you. He also let everybody know that after y'all's great sex, he ghosted you and didn't call you for 10 days. And when he called you to tell you he wanted to stay with his woman. So I guess my pride is too big. If you've done me like that on national television, there is nothing you can tell me. I don't know what kind of money Darian has. I don't know what he's packing in these blue pants right here. But there is nothing that man could tell me after doing it to me on national television. He definitely wouldn't tell me nothing enough to where I'm at his house cooking for him and his child. Like, girl, get it together. And the sad part is Kai will actually think she won some type of contest or trophy. You didn't. Alexia, quit going back and forth. Let whoever wants him, as you claim in this episode, you said, let whoever wants him have him. And stick to that. Because that is not a trophy that you should carry home. Chris Law says she did it to herself. She knew Darian had a woman. Denise Pooh says she wrote on his car. I did see that alleged vandalism. She says Darian is broke. He was living off Alexia money. Mega Million says it made me so mad that they pushed another date with him and that girl was wrong. That was wrong. High Vibe says Kai is not new to this. Both she and Alexia both have low self-esteem. I would agree. All right, y'all. Real Housewives of Potomac. Let's get to these ladies. We already know what those ladies look like. So I'm going to just briefly run through the ladies and what I feel about all of them. Giselle was up to her normal shenanigans. We get in the opening scene, her and Karen are still going back and forth. She says that Karen is bringing up old crap with Ray and the whole wish death on Ray type thing. The gotcha is both of them are bringing up old crap. You know, Giselle goes back to, I want Ray to pay his bills. I want the IRS want him to pay his bills. That's 2 or 3 years old too. So if you're gonna bring up old stuff, she's gonna bring up old stuff, and we're gonna be in this constant stalemate. All of y'all are too old and too childish for this. And my patience is really wearing thin, y'all, on this particular show. This is what happens to me with Housewives. I think with Potomac, it's still new. They're adding in new characters. Not Potomac. Love and Marriage Huntsville. It's new. They're adding in new characters. But I'm tired of watching Giselle and Karen fight. And I like Karen. But I'm just tired of watching these same two have the same argument. It's stale. Giselle claims that she has apologized about what she said in the past. Well, it don't matter if you apologize when you keep rehashing it, girl. She wants to throw their relationship in the trash until and unless Karen apologizes. Another thing she said this episode that bothered me and bothered a lot of other people, I gave her a little pass, not really, on her opening line to the show, how she keeps her face by staying in the shade. Okay. But when she said Wendy was in the servants' quarters, you are a Black woman on national television. You might as well have said slave quarters, girl. Because you're in Williamsburg, Virginia. We know what went on in Williamsburg, Virginia. So why would you even say that? Why would you say that because someone else is not in the big house? They're in the servants' quarters. And I have lived, I'm born and raised in the South, y'all. Went to college in New Orleans. And I know some of my New Orleans people watch me. Hey, y'all, I love y'all. I love the city. I go back regularly. But colorism and internalized racism is a thing, particularly in New Orleans. And particularly, honestly, it's rampant throughout the South. You know, and Giselle's roots, not just the ones on her head, you know, the colorism is really starting to show. That elitism is really starting to show. She's always been colorist and elitist, but, you know, I think Wendy uses it too much sometimes, but I can see why it feels like that. I honestly think Giselle is a pure elitist. I think Giselle would have said the same thing if it were Karen, Mia, and Robin in the cottage. I think she still would have called it servants' quarters. I don't think she just called it servants' quarters because Wendy is there. But because Wendy is there and she says it to Wendy or a scholar, whoever she said it to, she said it to a darker skinned person. It makes that nuance even more cringy. She has this fake concern over Wendy and her body, wanting to make sure Wendy is okay. She alludes that Wendy is making these changes to her body because something is off, overcompensating because of these alleged cheating rumors. When Wendy pops up, when her and Robin are talking, this is where I hate the show, right? The show has to go on So instead of her having that conversation with Wendy, because Wendy pretty much walked in on the conversation. If you care about somebody that's supposed to be your friend, your sorority sister, someone you respect, since she walked in on the conversation, they could have had that conversation right there. But instead, they wait and bring it up in front of the group. I don't like that. That's a production piece. And it's unnatural and unfluid. So they wait for that. One thing that bothers me about Giselle is she cares and then she doesn't care. I don't care how Wendy dresses, but you're talking about it. That's all you've been talking about the last 3 or 4 days. So you do care. And if you didn't care, quit talking about it. She has the nerve to say that she's concerned about Chris when they're talking at the dinner again. I'm going through the people and not the actual scenes, so this is going back and forth. But another thing that bothered me was when she was asking Candace all of her business, and she said that she's concerned about Chris being her manager and possibly, getting income off of her and riding her coattails. But ma'am, you have been riding coattails your whole life. Chris is her husband. Why should it be a problem for Chris to ride her coattails when you have been riding the coattails of your father and then Jamal? The only reason you are on this show is because of Jamal. And you sold yourself as this former first lady whose husband was a cheetah pumpkin eater. So if it's good for the gander in this case, it's good for the goose. And if Candace ain't got no problem with this man allegedly riding her coattails, why is it of concern to you? It's always the person who ain't got a husband, a boyfriend, a prospect, or something that is very vocal. I'm vocal because we watch these shows. In my real life, I don't go around telling my friends what they should and shouldn't do with their significant others. It ain't my business. If they ask me, that's something different. But Candace didn't ask y'all that. Y'all were just being messy and nosy and loud and wrong. Next, she talks about Wendy. Of course, they bring it to the table. And one thing that she said in their interaction between her and Robin was that if she can't ask Wendy questions, it's a problem. She said that right after she told a scholar that she would not be talking about her relationship because there are trolls at the table talking about Karen. So you just sat there and undressed everybody. Undressed Robin, undressed Candace, undressed Wendy. But when somebody asks you a question, when you get a return serve, it's, oh no, I can't talk about that right now. Girl, bye. I don't see how these people do it. Robin, she had her permanent residence up Giselle's butt per usual. Robin is also the last person who should be questioning anybody's substance. Both her and Giselle said it, but Robin said it first. For somebody who allowed somebody to come in and steal most of their husband's money, who can't seem to keep a career, who jumps from new startup business to new startup business, you are the last person to question anybody's substance, ma'am. Please don't do it again. Like, just cut that out. Don't proceed. Don't pass go. Do not collect $200. Like, that's not you. You should not, pipe down. She says Wendy's, one thing she said that I guess she thought was funny. Wendy's bodysuit on the bus was so tight it made her crotch hurt. Imagine being that miserable that you actually care about the crotch of another woman. If that girl want to have a tight crotch and risk a yeast infection, who are me to judge? I don't care. Let her do her. Like, why even say something that crude? She says that the old Wendy was confident and secure, and now she's not. Old Wendy was not confident and secure. Y'all get fooled by confidence and security. The fact that Wendy had to announce her degrees every time they sat down let you know that she was not confident or secure. And so what she's doing now is the same thing. It's just that she's jumped from her brain and all of those accolades to her body. But she's still very much insecure. It's the same action. But Robin, you are also insecure. So it's two pots. Pot can't call a kettle black. When they get to the table, the dinner table, Robin is explaining how Juan is complaining about her staying in the bed. He doesn't find it attractive. This girl allows Giselle to rip her a new one. With friends like Giselle, you definitely don't need enemies. Not only did Giselle sit there and say, well, Robin, no man wants to marry unattractive. She then brought in her children. Well, if you're sleeping to 12, are you neglecting your children? What friend does that? Housewife? Like, I'll jump to Karen in a minute, but as Karen said, your friend is being vulnerable and open with you, and you pry more and beat her down 2 more feet. And Robin lets her. So I don't even feel bad for Robin because Giselle has done this now at least 2 or 3 times. She beats down her own child who can't pass the driving exam, so I guess we shouldn't be surprised, but she has no sense of loyalty. No boundary. Even if you're going to have this conversation with Robin, have it later. Have it off camera. Girl, have it on the podcast. Do something. There's a way you word things. Hey, how are you doing in your other responsibilities? How are the boys? How are they in school? You put out there that this girl is possibly neglecting her own children. Whew, hate to see it. Robin admits that she has seasonal depression and that her personality hates structure. Seasonal depression, y'all, is a real thing. I was glad that a scholar stepped in and said something about depression. I was glad that she tried to normalize it a little bit, talked about medication, talked about therapy. I did not like how Robin tried to diminish it a little bit and say maybe she just needs a life coach. No, sis. The stuff that you're talking about, the symptoms you have, is chronic depression. And you need to go to a therapist and possibly a psychologist for some meds. And it's no shame to it. As Karen tried to step in and normalize, Wendy stepped in and said, everybody but your good friend Giselle, who wouldn't know how to be vulnerable or transparent if it spit in her face. Everybody that was a girl's girl at the table let you know that it's not just you. And this happens. Clearly, Ashley has had it. She's dealt with it. She wasn't even there yet, but she's had her postpartum depression. So it happens, even to the best of us. It's nothing to be ashamed of. The next thing that bothered me about Robin was when they were talking to Wendy. Wendy called that girl loose. Like, that's way too far. Robin called her loose. It's way too far. Someone who's loose is running around on their husband and stuff like that. The girl is showing some skin and trying to twerk because she can't twerk. or dance. But if that's what she wants to do, if her husband isn't saying anything, let her do it. Then when they get to the end and they're back in the room, now she wants to wonder if Wendy is in her head and if she's really bothered by this. Yes, she is, and that's what y'all wanted in the first place. Don't try to act sad now. Adrian says Robin's boys are old enough to be able to do their homework without her hovering over them. And why can't Juan help with their homework if she's going through something? What is he doing? Meeting up with Michael in Vegas. Kennedy Monroe says, yep, exactly. Is Giselle a friend to Robin first or a housewife for the show? She's a housewife, girl. She will throw anybody under the bus. Lisa says Giselle is depressed herself. I would be too after I'd let a man take me all over and through and keep letting them do it. Crystal says Giselle and Robin need to worry about their own bodies and why their men don't want them. Okay. Randa says Giselle wants from others what she is not willing to give. She is notorious for spreading gossip and going after her castmates' relationships. She does so with reckless abandon, yet she wants apologies. Make it make sense, girl. God's anointed daughter says Giselle has a very miserable spirit. Robin needs to worry about herself. The pettiness is beyond me. They need to quit. Should have been stopped. Wendy, it was a lot for her this episode. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna jump on her like Giselle them did. The Versace outfit was a lot for me. It was. It was a lot. In general, I find Versace to be a little gaudy. So it's never going to be my taste anyway. But the too small bra with happiness sitting up here, it was a lot. But do you? That's what she feels. She admits that she feels overwhelmed sometimes in her life when all of the women are talking about Robin's alleged depression. Wendy's like, yeah, I understand. I have a lot going on, a lot on my plate, and I often feel overwhelmed. And that's often a symptom of depression. You know you have stuff to do, but you have so much to do that you just don't. The motivation is gone. The will is gone. And that means she either needs help in how to balance what she has on her plate. She may have to let a few things go off of her plate until she accomplishes, accomplish a few goals, get those done, then add some more. Get a nanny. Get a tutor to help with the kids. Like, do something. But don't think, this whole superwoman thing, it sounds great, but there are literally 24 hours in a day. So you have to prioritize. It is what it is. And if you need some help, get you some help. When they're confronting her about how she dresses and what's going on with her, Wendy says she does not want to be put in a box. She can be a professor and twerk and this and that. And what Wendy is missing, you can't. I empathize with Wendy a lot, and I said this last episode because I am that. Like, I get it. I'm a lawyer, and people think you're a lawyer. You can't do this. You can't be on YouTube. You can't talk about reality shows. You can't blah, blah, blah. But I am a big fan of what we know as quote unquote code switching. I'm a big fan of time and place and decorum. So if I am twerking and cutting up, it is with a close group of friends that I know and love. I'm not going to be twerking and cutting up around any and everybody. And that's just a virtue of being a professional. You have to watch who you let in your circle because of people like Giselle. You think you're in a safe space and somebody is secretly recording or waiting to be a tattletale and spread all your business. Mia jumps in and says, well, Oprah and Michelle Obama wouldn't dress like you or wouldn't twerk and wouldn't do XYZ. That's Oprah and Michelle. Maybe Wendy doesn't want to be Oprah and Michelle. And that's what happens when you rely so much on outside expectations. If Wendy wants to be known as the twerking professor, let her. That's all we can do. Wendy becomes very triggered by the substance comment. She admits that she was not the most confident person in herself and in her body last season because she had just given birth. I think that's a normal, natural feeling that all women have given birth can relate to. She calls out Giselle for not sharing her life once a scholar asks Giselle the question about Jamal and Giselle refuses to answer. Wendy let her know, like, that's not cool. You just asked all of us at this table all kinds of questions, and now you're saying you're not going to answer this question. Wendy comes down the next day to go to the water aerobics classes, and she's very much more conservative. She has on like this long jacket or robe or something that covers everything, and Karen is like, why are you dressed like that? Please do not change yourself for miserable but Giselle. And Wendy says, I'm not, my bathing suit is in my bag. I just wanted to do breakfast this way. Karen shows that she's a good girlfriend. She affirms Wendy in this situation. She tells her that Giselle and Robin were out of line yesterday at the dinner, and that Giselle does the same thing. She dances and dresses gaudily. She didn't say gaudily, but she dances. She actually says she works her her V word all over the place, and I was just like, ugh. But it's the truth. Giselle only picks fun at what she wants to pick fun at. When she wants to let loose and have fun, she does it. And so they're all the same. She doesn't want Wendy to let Giselle dim her light. Wendy is hurt. She starts crying. She says she looked at Giselle as a big sister. And so she was very hurt by their opinions and how she felt like they were attacking her. Karen lets her know, look, sis, you can cry, but cry now. Cry now and get it out. Do not let Giselle have that. Don't let Giselle see you crying. Giselle is only insecure and miserable, and that's what she is. Adrian, thank you for the super chat. Soror, she says, Sora Plez, is it just me or does it seem like Giselle and Robin are trying to reenact their college days running around hazing people? That's what they've been doing. They always haze the new girls. No one is trying to make Bravo Spring 2022 line. Stop it. Yes, sis. No one is trying. We grown. We grown. Grown. I don't understand. You ain't got to like me. I don't need to be in your little friend group. We don't have to be accepted. I'm too old for this crap. Randa says having a sense of propriety is a known quality. Plus, Michelle Obor booty shorts post White House and while on vacay. Again, time and place. Roni says AKA has an anti-hazing policy though. Oh, yes. We are all. Everybody in the Divine Nine is a non-hazing organization. What Adrian is talking about, Giselle was actually online. Giselle tries to pretend that she's this spring chicken, honey. She is not. So I believe when Giselle crossed, it was prior to 1990. So there were different rules in place. True T says, so wait, since when was Robin Greek? She's not an AK though. No, she's not. Robin is a Delta. I don't know exactly when Robin pledged, but Giselle, they showed one of the pictures of her at Hampton where she's online and everyone is dressed alike, blah, blah. So Randa says, isn't Giselle in her late 40s? No, girl, Giselle is either 50 or 51. So next, Karen. Karen, in the opening scene, she refuses to apologize to Giselle. It was hilarious watching them trying to get that suitcase up the stairs. It was kind of shady that the cottage did not have people that could help them do that kind of thing. Like, that's just Candace is tacky for those accommodations. She forgot to check in with Ray, which was so funny to me because then she goes talking about how Ray is her best friend, and that's why she's so intense with making sure no one talks about him. But girl, you forgot to call your husband and you've been there for a day and a half. Okay. It was super hilarious when she talks about Candace saying that they get these big old swim caps and everybody is calling the swim caps condoms. And they learned that they got these swim caps because Giselle is going to do water aerobics with them. And Karen's like, you call me old. Isn't water aerobics the oldest thing known to man? Like, it's for old people with bad knees. I liked the joke. However, Karen, I like water aerobics. Water Zumba is really fun. But I get what she was trying to say, especially since Giselle always tries to make ageism digs at her. I really like how she clocked Giselle about bringing up Robin's, highlighting Robin's issues with Juan and her alleged depression in the kids, and then how she was deflective of her own issues. She constantly harps on everybody else so that she can deflect on what's going on or not going on with her. It doesn't seem like she has much going on but talking about everybody else. I liked that she normalized what Robin was going through with the depression and made Robin feel like we've all been there. We know we can really relate to you. And I really like when she uplifted Wendy, saying that she can be herself, and calling out Giselle for not answering questions. You can't actually say that, oh, I'm not going to talk when Karen's not here. When is Karen not going to be there? So you're never going to talk about your situation as long as Karen Huger is on the show, because she's going to be there. When were y'all going to have a group event and just Karen not be there? Another attempt to ice people out, girl. It's getting old. We know your game now. Mia, the main thing with her was she said she felt like she was in the middle in that opening scene between Karen and Giselle. Mia, don't flatter yourself, honey. You're not really in the middle. If it weren't you, it would be some reason why Giselle and Karen were fighting. So it's not really about you. But she wants them both to acknowledge that they have hurt each other. The only other little thing she interjected was her feelings about Wendy dressing and acting the way she does, saying that Michelle Obama and Oprah don't. And again, I don't think that that's necessarily true. We don't know what Oprah does behind closed doors. We don't know what Michelle does. So, I would actually argue that almost all Black people I know dance how they dance. Now, they may do it just with family and friends, but we dance. One reason why I did when I did my sing-along Sunday with my family and we did doing the butt was because I grew up doing the butt. Sir Mix-a-Lot, Baby Got Back. Like, we danced to stuff like that at my house. My mama just made it very clear that we did not dance like that in public. Some people's mamas don't. And that's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just your perception of how you want to be received in this world. So like I said, if Wendy wants to be the twerking professor, let her please. Ashley, we didn't really see her much, but I really loved their family photo shoot. It was very cute. When that photographer came in and Dean rejected that high five, it was a true toddler move. It was, like a pro. Like, it was like, give me a high five. Dean was like, and kept walking and playing with his toy. They both now have a twin. Dean looks just like Michael. Dylan looks just like Ashley. It's really cool for me to see them come full circle. I like Daddy Michael, as in Daddy to Dean and Dylan. If Daddy Michael can stay and keep his proclivities under wraps, I like it. It was interesting to see that baby Dylan had jaundice, and Ashley was so ready to get him home from the hospital. They did a home light therapy for jaundice. That was something I learned new. I didn't know you could do that. Every family member or friend that I know whose babies had jaundice, they had to stay in the hospital. So the things that you can get when you have money and access, it's a beautiful thing to see. I loved when they were talking about Juan and Robin and this wedding, and then getting Giselle somebody, honey. Michael seemed to delight in the fact that Juan and Robin had not in fact gotten married yet. He thinks he's right. They will never get married. And he said that he cannot think of anyone to introduce to Giselle. I honestly think Michael would not introduce anyone to Giselle, even if he knew someone. Why would I introduce somebody to a woman who has been dragging me for the last 4 or 5 years? You think he's going to open up his network of possibly rich bachelors to the likes of Giselle? No. And I mean the likes, meaning her attitude. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. Escala, I really liked her this episode. At first, it seemed like she was overstepping boundaries, but I think Robin needs to be careful. You introduce friends who are more interesting than you are, honey. She just wants to have fun. She wants them to stop all of the fighting. She does think that the estate house is like 5-star accommodations, whereas the cottage is about a 3-star. I really liked her interacting with the group and asking questions, jumping in, asking questions. I liked her offering up her knowledge on depression and encouraging therapy and or medication if it's needed. And I liked when she jumped in to finish Giselle. I just heard some good old Mortal Kombat in the back. Finish him, finish her, Yes, Giselle, you have asked everyone a question here. What about your relationship? We hear a lot of things. What's going on there? It was very clear, to the point. Very, girl, you want to know about everybody else. Tell us about you. I'm here for a scholar. They should invite her back. Next, Miss Candace. Y'all, as much as I rag on Candace was the voice of reason this episode. Who knew? Candace jumped in between Karen and Giselle and let them know that they both have hurt each other. They both have said things out of pocket, and they have been fighting way too long, and they're way too old to continue this. I agree, Candace. I agree with everything you said. The best thing that she said was that nothing gets resolved in a group. And she wanted them to table the conversation and try to resolve this one-on-one. Very astute, Candace. Very astute, very mature. Seems like something is working with you. That cottage, though, was complete BS. Complete BS. All things popcorn. Thank you for the super chat, sis. $5 from me and Yaya. Yes, Yaya. Is Jamal coming? Of course. I'm finna steal Alexander Rogers stuff. Of course not. That is hilarious. But yes, I love when he does that. I like Alexander, y'all. He's funny to me. But yeah, Jamal's not coming. We all know that. But that cottage was complete BS. You could have gotten those girls some better accommodations. I'm sure there was something in between the estate house and the cottage, particularly since they have to drive 5 minutes to get there. Like a 5-minute drive is like a 10 or 15-minute walk. And there has to be another property on that place. Like, Candace, quit being cheap. Don't do that. That's not cute. I liked how Candace responded to Giselle's questioning about Chris. She nicely and politely put her in her place. She trusts her husband and she trusts their bond. Something that you and Jamal did not have, Giselle. A bond. Other than your children. I mean, an actual bond, an emotional bond. All men can possibly do wrong. but she doesn't think that's what's going on. She knows them in their relationship. And that was her nice way of saying to mind your beeswax. I liked it, Candace. I liked when she got in her little zing, calling Giselle and Robin Tweedle and Twaddle for minding everybody else's business. It was interesting watching her by the pool, doing this choreography, saying that she wants respect in the music industry. I'm never going to down anybody's goals or aspirations. I hope she gets what she wants. Just so far, none of these housewives have ever really crossed over into music. Candy was already, music is what we know Candy for. And even Candy, since she has been on the show, at least her individual albums have not really done, the best. She does the best when she gets back with Escape. So it'll be interesting. R&B is, I love R&B, and it's kind of missing right now. I don't know if Candace is gonna bring it back, but let's see. It'll be interesting to see these videos and how they package her and present her to the world and roll her out in the music industry. So, Scorpion says that was an old plantation. The cottage was like slave quarters. If she couldn't find a place for them at all, she shouldn't have booked. I'm sure there was some kind of hotel, resort, something they could have went to. Francois says, I actually enjoyed Candace's episode and I can't stand Candace. We are one and the same, Francois. This is why I like you. We see each other. I don't like Candace at all. And she was a breath of fresh air this episode. All right, y'all. Lastly, let me run through this. Raising Kanan, because we have been here for 3 hours. Jesus Lord. All right. Raising Kanan. This is the episode 5. I really liked this episode. I like the whole show, as you all know. I love it. We opened the show with RHOP confronting Karen. Well, actually, it opened up with Kanan getting ready for school and then seeing blood on his shoe. But the biggest part was RHOP confronts Kanan about the blood on his shirt. Thank you so much, Lisa Brown, for the super chat. Giselle is messy, but the ladies keep letting her dodge the answers to the questions they ask her. Yes, they let her do it, which is what bothers me. Robin letting her play her season after season and crap on her. Nobody could be a close friend of mine and do to me the things that Giselle does. Couldn't happen. But yes, the ladies let her do it. So back to Raising Kanan. RHOP confronts Kanan about the bloody shirt. One thing that I noticed like little things, y'all. I don't know if y'all saw this. RHOP wears a Kanan gold nameplate necklace around her neck. And just anything that I'm not finna lie to y'all and sit here and act like I'm from the streets and grew up in the game, because I am not. But I do know people who were. And everybody that I know, like, they don't kind of like what Denzel Washington told old boy in Training Day about his wedding ring and put that up, because people on the streets, when they know what's important to you or what you hold close to your heart, will exploit those things. So it was very interesting to me to see RHOP wearing that necklace, although I guess with her being a mother and being a drug trafficker, it's kind of easy to know what's important to her. If you want to get at her son. But that was just something that stood out to me. She goes in on Kanan about the blood on the shirt. She has already figured it out herself that he was at the stash house with his Uncle Marvin when it was robbed. When they go back in and look at the crime scene, Detective Howard and his partner, I remembered when Marvin shot the dude that Kanan threw up there. And so when they go back in, Kanan's vomit is still very visible and present. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, this is just what I feel like the writers leave as little breadcrumbs to how things can fall apart and happen later on. Because it didn't seem like they had a for real crime scene up around there. I didn't see any tape, anything that showed they were doing investigative work. But because I watch so many crime shows, I'm like, oh my God, Kanan, like, they can get his DNA from the vomit. Because if he's 15 and was born in 75, that means they're now, which I think when they did the time grab, they're in 1990. So DNA had been started being used in the court system since like 1987. So again, I'm a nerd. I'm sorry. These are the things that I think about when I watch these shows. So I was like, dang, Kanan, you left your DNA at the crime scene. Nobody cleaned up the vomit. When Marvin was coming back, you got the body. You didn't get to clean up the vomit. Silly mistake. Next, RHOP confronts Marvin and lets him know that she knows that he had her son at the stash house, even though she explicitly told them that Kanan was on ice, could not be involved in the business, should not be at the stash house. She says that they both flunked the test, but that Kanan didn't snitch on him. Uncle Lou was like, yeah, he has heart. And she's like, too much heart and too much trust in his dumb uncle. We learned that RHOP is the middle sibling. Marvin is actually the older brother. Lou is the younger brother. I think Marvin feels some type of way about that he's the older and the oldest and not in charge of the family business. There's also probably some sexism stuff going on there, but who knows? However, when they go outside, we learn that Marvin is reckless. He has done a stint in jail, and Lou says it's because he runs his mouth too much. RHOP says, leave this alone. I'm working on it. I am working on a plan to get back at Neek. Lou continues to tease Marvin when they go outside, saying that he is basically can't get right. He always makes mistakes in the family. They start fighting and the police break them up. Well, the police didn't break them up. The police roll by and see what's going on. And end up letting them go. Symphony compliments Kanan on his bridge model in the class that he's in. I guess they had to make a bridge, and his attention to detail. Kanan actually likes the class. Symphony starts telling him the history of the Brooklyn Bridge. And again, this is why I really like this show. It's entertaining, but they throw in some really good facts about this country and how it was built, and what things were put in place to keep whole communities of people marginalized. So he talks about the Brooklyn Bridge and how it was used in white flight for white people to escape the urban areas and move out to suburbia, and to influence commercialization with the building of, Central Park and the airport, blah, blah. And he says, you notice that white people only are in this area when they stop to get gas. Tells Kanan about how racism is driven into the fabric and planning of this country. It's a very good lesson. If you got kids and you watch them, give them some homework. Have them look up that kind of stuff about the Brooklyn Bridge, about Central Park and things like that. Kanan gives Symphony his approval for dating RHOP. The next scene, I gotten ahead of myself, was that when Marvin and Lou are walking outside the house and they get into it, we learned that Marvin was in prison for running his mouth. He says he was set up. Lou was like, no, it's just because you talk too much. He goes in on Lou's music dreams. He says that Crown Camacho is just going to end up smashing his girl, smashing Jessica. Lou says, well, that already happened to you and your baby mama because Neek got her and turned her out to the whole hood. They ended up fighting like they were, I'm sure, when they were little boys. The police come through, blow the horn, warn them so that they can break it up. There's a lot of resentment there regarding RHOP. Marvin is like, go suck on your sister's tit. And Lou's like, cool. If I got one, you got the other, big brother. So it is what it is. RHOP is definitely the matriarch of the family. Next, we see Detective Howard back at the doctor's office. Unfortunately, none of his family were good fits to be bone marrow donors for him. The doctor did put him on the registry, but she lets him know that this would be experimental at best with finding a good match. She tells him that he needs to change his lifestyle, no smoking, he needs to exercise and change his diet. If he does not, they will need to discuss palliative care, which means end of life care, if he doesn't get something together and if things don't change. Next, we see Kanan, Famous, and Jukebox in the bodega. Famous is looking at Playboy magazines and saying that he will get girls like this. That'll actually be the low end of women that he gets once he blows up in the music industry. Jukebox rolls her eyes and is just like, you don't even know anything about girls. I am a girl, so I know how to please one and what to do. And I've actually been with someone and you all have not. Famous blows up and is like, what? Who have you been with? It should have been me. I've wanted you since we were in 5th grade. Kanan's like, bro, that's my cousin. That was a funny scene to me. Next, they go to check out at the bodega, and Jukebox says, I think I know who may have had something to do with hitting up the stash house. Kanan is like, who? She says, your girl meaning Davina. Well, Kanan doesn't know, but we, the audience, knows that Jukebox is absolutely right. Woman's intuition. She's right. But Kanan gets very upset. He gets mad. He goes outside. He tells her that he thinks it's Scrappy because Scrappy wasn't there, happened to be sick the day they got hit, and that he is going to take it up himself with Scrappy. Jukebox is like, no, Scrappy is one of your mom's most loyal soldiers. He's almost just like family. And Kanan is like, family? What do you know about my family? Come on, Kanan, she is your family. So she says, I know a lot about I know a lot about the family. I am the family, and I know secrets that you don't know. Now they're like the same age. Why does Jukebox know secrets about the family that Kanan doesn't know? Probably because Kanan has been very sheltered by Rock, and Jukebox has not, because Marvin is loose and fast with it, but we shall see. So Kanan threatens her and says, Jukebox, I know your secrets too, and I'll release those if you keep playing about Davina. Baby, Kanan is head over heels and ain't even been close to Davina. This is just interesting to me. The next scene we see Rock and Marvin and the building superintendent looking at apartments. Rock thinks they found the perfect apartment. The tenant comes home and finds them in the apartment. He refuses. He's like, I'm not giving up my apartment. Y'all can go on with that. Rock gives Marvin the signal to, enforce a little bit of what is going on. Once he's beat the man up a little bit, Rock tells him to stop and go outside. She walks up to the man and is like, you know who I am? He's like, I think so. She's like, one way or another, this is going to be my apartment. So you decide how you want to do it. Basically implying, I'll give you some money so you can move along, or you just turn up not breathing and it'll be mine. Either way it goes. Next, we see Famous running down the sidewalk to get Jukebox. He invites her to his studio session. She agrees. He's all happy, like, oh, you gonna give me some after this. So funny. Doesn't even know this girl is a lesbian. Rock tells them, they come back. Marvin and the superintendent come back. She tells them that everything has moved out. Marvin's going to help the guy move. Marvin's like, hell no. Rock gives him an eye, and he's like, well, okay, but he better not say anything. And then he tries to poke around to get into Rock's head to see what's going on. He says, so when are you and Kanan moving in? And Rock's like, are you crazy? I'm not moving into projects with my child. And when I do move, you're not going to know because you can't keep your mouth shut. We all have those friends and family members. She explains that the business is moving in there. They are going to be at the mountaintop looking down on everybody else. They won't be fighting for corners. They are taking over the business. The he asks why does she need a second apartment on the bottom connected to it, and she says because she's gonna create like a drop system, a tunnel, so that if for some reason the police do find the spot, they'll be able to throw everything downstairs into the lower apartment. She calls it foolproof, and as we all know, very little in life is actually foolproof, but we'll see how it works. Kanan runs home to get he's looking for his gun. We see him lift up the mattress. RHOP busts in the door and stops him before he can actually get the gun. And he lets her know, like, I'm tired of you playing with me, Mom. Like, I am not going to wait. He says he wants to learn the business. He wants to learn how to cook the product. She says she has to think about it and asks him why was he running into the house? Where was he going in such a hurry? He lies and says he was going to get some quarters for the little arcade that they go to. She says, okay, I'll drop you off. She drops him off, and unbeknownst to both of them, Detective Howard and his partner are staking out the place. They decide they at first were going to follow Rock, and instead they decide to follow Kanan because he has connects to D Wiz. He was friends with D Wiz. He went to school with Buck 20. And Detective Howard says he is hustling royalty. He is the prince of the South Side because of his father being Def Con and his mother being Rock. Kanan leaves the arcade after his mom pulls off, and we see him go confront Scrappy about why he wasn't there, and then the stash house got hit. So Scrappy's shooting dice. He's like, man, leave me alone. Go on about your business. Go do what you need to do for your mother, your mama's boy, basically. Kanan's like, nah, talk to me, like right now. So he starts pushing him and confronting him. And finally, Scrappy's like, dude, you don't know who you are. So he shows him why his name is Scrappy. They start fighting. Scrappy lands a punch, hits Kanan, in the mouth, draws blood, and then Detective Howard pulls up with his partner, sees them fighting. Well, he already saw them fighting, but he pulls up, breaks them up, and takes them both into the precinct because they were fighting. One of Neek's guys is coming out of the store and sees them both being arrested. The next thing we see, the bodega owner is confronting Rock because he wants some more money. He thinks he is open to too much liability with their product and their money being in his store. And so he needs more money for the liability that he's taking. Rock walks up to him to his face and lets him know, we already negotiated a price. He says, well, we need to renegotiate. Rock lets him know, we shake hands. When we negotiate, we throw hands. When we have to renegotiate. Very clear and to the point in that he doesn't want that. So the bodega owner lets it go. At the police station, Kanan refuses to give information to Detective Howard, says he's waiting for his legal guardian. Detective Howard presses him a little bit and says, look, I wasn't going to arrest you, but you need to cooperate. So he already knew his name. The next question is his birth date. He gives him his birth date. He says it is August 15th, 1975. Detective Howard says, oh, I thought you were older than that. Kanan's like, why does it matter to you? Symphony shows up to pick up Kanan, checks him about picking Kanan up for no reason, allegedly. Detective Howard calls him the N-word just in conversation, how, Black people do this sometimes. He's like, I'm not your N-word. So he's like, oh, I apologize for offending you, brother. He's like, I'm not your brother either. I like Symphony. I like Symphony gives me refined thugs. He's a reformed thug a little bit. He knows how to get what he wants. Detective Howard lets Kanan go with Symphony. Scrappy is still there. He's like, who's this dude? And when he leaves, Detective Howard does some digging, does some investigation to when Def Con went into prison. And it seems like Def Con went into prison around September, October of 1974. So if Kanan was born in August of 75, that's more than 9 months, honey, or 10. So the next thing we see Crown Camacho in the studio, and the engineer is saying that the singer who was supposed to be on the hook for Famous's record is not coming. She's not coming until Crown pays her. The next singer that he suggests isn't coming until Crown pays him either. Crown has not been paying his bills and his artists. The audio engineer lets him know, dude, you haven't paid me either. He's saying all of this while Jukebox Jessica and Uncle Lou are in the studio. Crown's like, you put me on blast in front of all these people? So Lou speaks up, asks the audio engineer how much does he need. He pays the audio engineer. The audio engineer is like, it's some other people too. He gives him all the money for the people who need help. He also tells Crown Camacho that Jukebox is going to be singing on the song. Crown tries to say, oh, we need a professional singer. Jessica speaks herself up. I don't know why Jessica irks me and says, oh, honey, we need to let Crown do what he does. And he's like, dead that. He rolls his eyes at her and lets Crown know Jukebox has been singing and getting paid for her voice since she was a little girl. That's why her name is Jukebox. Anybody in the hood would come up to her and give her some money for whatever song that they wanted to hear. So, Jukebox is like, no, probably going over that last conversation with Uncle Lou about asking for favors. And Lou convinces her to get in the booth, says, look, I just paid for your studio time. Next, we see Kanan riding with Symphony. He asks Symphony not to tell his mom about him getting, into this scuffle with Scrappy. Symphony lets him know that he's not going to lie to Rock. So if Rock asks him, he's going to answer truthfully, but he will not just offer the information up to her. He then asks why Kanan didn't call his uncles. Kanan lies and says he couldn't get in touch with them. I don't think Kanan called them at all. Next, we see them in the studio again. Jukebox killed the track. Rock catches Scrappy coming down the corner, and Scrappy is like, look, I know he's your son, but I gotta hold up for me. I have to defend myself in these streets. Rock tells Scrappy to get into the car. They talk. Next, we see Jukebox going to Nicole's house. Well, at Nicole's house, her little white lesbian girlfriend. She plays the song for Nicole, and Nicole really likes the song. They start making out per usual, and they have this little banter about white people and black people spaghetti or pasta. And unfortunately, Nicole's mom comes upstairs and catches Nicole and Jukebox making out on the bed. Well, Nicole's mom goes full on Karen. Although it was cool for a little black girl to be in her house, and she thought Jukebox had a great singing voice, when she catches her kissing her child, she immediately screams for her husband. The husband comes in, is like, what is going on? Can somebody tell me what's going on? Nicole is over here crying. Jukebox is scared and traumatized. She runs out of the room. The wife says, if I catch you here again, I will call the police and say you raped her. Y'all, that was so, it was traumatic. It was definitely a trigger for, I think, pretty much any black person in America. Like when white people catch you doing something, even though her daughter is the one who initiated the interaction and affection, and Jukebox had never kissed a girl before Nicole came on to her. Child. The next thing, Rock is in the kitchen teaching Kanan how to cook. She says that the only reason why she's doing this is because she wants Kanan to know how to survive and protect himself on these streets if something ever happens to him. Kanan's like, you said nothing ever would ever happen to you. You promised. And Rock is like, you know enough now to know that that's not a promise that I can keep in this game that they're in. She can't promise that she'll always be there for him. She also said that what they were doing was a violation. You never cook where you sleep. However, they're only doing a small batch. She doesn't want to go to the lab. Next we see Scrappy. Scrappy shows up to a meeting with Neek and wants to join Neek's crew. He says he is only concerned with money. He asks, what about Rock? Neek is like, forget Rock. Rock is now training her son up. Her son has jumped the line. So I'm going to be over here with you all. Neek asks him some more questions. Long story short, Scrappy is in. He's looking around at the crew, but he's in. I personally think Rock sent him there to be a spy. I think that, that's going to be hard on little Scrappy, but we'll see. She says he's they say he's one of the best soldiers, so we'll see. The next few scenes, Jessica and Lou finally get it in, I guess because Lou came through with the big bucks and made it happen for Famous in this studio session. Excuse me. And then the big gotcha was Detective Howard coming up and confronting Rock when she was taking out the trash with the discrepancies between Kanan's birth date and when DEF CON went to jail. So based on his calculations, Kanan cannot be a Stark. He cannot be DEF CON's child because he went in October of 1974. No conjugal visits. Rock is like, stay away from my child. And Detective Howard drops the bomb that he's not DEF CON's son. He is his son. He is the policeman's son. Now, what I want to know is, one, I was sitting here at my screen like, for real? And this was why I almost kicked somebody off, like one of my friends. I had to mute her because she put that up as like her Facebook status. Oh my God, that's his daddy? Girl. So now I already know that, if you know the characters, somebody is Kanan's daddy. I did not expect it to be Detective Howard, but what is so interesting is like, how long has Detective Howard been a police officer? Was Rock only sleeping with him because she needed stability in the streets because DEF CON went to jail? What is going on? And who actually knows that? Anybody who knows math can put 2 and 2 together. Does DEF CON know? Like, did he just go along with it so that Rock could be secure on the streets and keep his money flowing? So many things. I love this show, y'all. I love the show. How Vibe says plot twist. Yes, it's plot twist. Like, I wasn't seeing that. I could tell that they had something going on back in the day because of how Detective Howard would talk to her every time he ran up on her. But not that he the baby daddy. And he said he asked Rock because Rock would be wheeling the baby around the hood. And Rock said, this ain't your child. This DEF CON child. Well, she trying to survive on the streets. It's not, I guess, a good rep if you were the dope dealer's woman and he goes to jail and then you pregnant by a police officer. But honey, that was a lot. Helene Easley says, yeah, that ended with something else. Jukebox and Kanan is going to be on fire next season. Yes. Thank you for the super chat, sis. They're coming back next week. I was sad when I didn't see a new episode, so I Googled when was episode 6 coming, because y'all know Power does this. They'll give you 4 or 5 episodes and then call themselves taking a mid-season break and you don't see it again for 3 months. I'm sick of them doing that. However, I think because 50 Cent is also an executive producer for this BMF series that's about to start on Stars, I don't think he wants them to compete with each other. And I think that comes on at the end of September, beginning of October. So we'll see. So many stories. So much now has been opened up. Kanan, let me see if I can kind of make some like predictions, right? Of course, Kanan, if it ever becomes known to him, he's going to feel devastated and he's not going to trust his mother anymore. But And this is why I think it's going to come to light, because remember, Detective Howard needs a bone marrow transplant. He has a direct descendant that he didn't know he had, who can possibly be a perfect match for him. Uncle Marvin gonna go brag about how smart they are and be in the eye in the sky and above everybody. Because Marvin, I love Marvin, y'all. Marvin fine, Lou fine, all of them fine. But especially Marvin. Marvin is fine. Marvin's so flashy. Did y'all see Lou's little car when they were fighting and when he got up to get in his little car? Lou just had a nice little car. Marvin in their red Benz with the gold rims, and it's interesting, y'all. I really, really love this show. To Be Black Native says I have to catch up. Thanks for sharing, Raising Kanan. Yes, girl, catch up. I think I'm finna go watch while they're on this break. I'm gonna go watch all 5 episodes to see what else I have missed and what I can put together. Francois says I wasn't expecting that major plot twist. Complete plot twist. Helene Easley says I love it. Y'all, it's such a good show. Watch it. I'm not gonna lie, I do get a lot of New Jack City from it. I get a lot of The Wire from it, but it's really good. And it has really good acting, more importantly. I'm loving Patina Miller. But all right, y'all, this is almost at 4 hours. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do any super chat. Not any super chats, any call-ins today, because this is just way too long. I am going to do the timestamps, of course. So if you're watching the replay, once this gets uploaded to YouTube in about 2 or 3 hours, I will definitely come back and timestamp this, because I know everybody doesn't watch every show. But I thank you all for hanging with me here for all of this time and being in the chat. Thank you for being engaging. Thank you to Be Black Native again for another super chat. Says those men are very handsome. Sorry, don't know names. Yes, y'all let me talk this whole time without showing the cast. Here they are. Kanan is right up here with 50. Patina Miller Rock is here. Next is Detective Howard right here. And this is Jukebox. Then we got Davina, Uncle Marvin, Uncle Lou, Old Symphony here. And I'm pretty sure this is Detective Howard's partner. I can't remember her name, but make sure you all like the video. Checking you boo says, I'm back. Thanks, Plez, for introducing me to Raise Kanan. It's good. And yes, there was a plot twist. Good job. High vibe. Another great live, Plez. Thank you so much, sis. All things popcorn. Hey, popcorn. Push those like buttons. Y'all definitely hit the like button. I hope y'all have a really great week. I am going to go. I need to go run a couple errands, but as always, it is Sunday. So there will be a sing-along Sunday posted at some point later on today. Before 10 p.m., I should have it up. But I love y'all. Sorry there was no time for call-ins. I'm really going to have to, but I make no apologies for it sometimes, y'all. I really was passionate about Love and Marriage Huntsville today, which took the bulk of this time, and about Sha'carri. So y'all remember what we talked about. Show some people some grace. Even if you want to be critical with your friends and your close family. We don't have to put everything online. We don't have to drag each other down in public. We don't have to, thank God she got taught a lesson. Everything isn't meant for public consumption. Okay? So just think about that when you're putting these things out, when you're putting these energies out into the world. I love y'all. Thank you all for being here with me. Thank you for supporting the channel. Like I said, like the video, leave your comments if you're watching the replay, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be here next Friday to bring you all some more things. I'm going to try to come up with a schedule and probably drop a few more pre-recorded videos in about different topics that I want to cover. I haven't forgotten about the Plez that a few of you all asked about. I think I'm gonna kick that off in September, so get your questions ready. And yeah, thank you for joining me, beauties and bows. Thank you for all of those who gave super chats. Thank you all for engaging with your comments, super chat or not. I really appreciate all of it. Thank you to my moderators. You all hang in here with me and support me and help me with this chat. I really, really, really appreciate it. I really do. It's hard trying to learn all of this stuff on my own. I'm still relatively a new YouTuber. I think I only have like 30 or 40 videos, but I'm learning, I'm growing, and it's only going to get better. I hope you all join me for the ride. All right. I will see you all next time. See you later. Bye.